3, 2, 1.
And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the prosecution is not going to get that man today. No, because I'm going to get him.
This is the HAGMANN Report for today, Tuesday, October 30th, 2012. I'm Doug HAGMANN. I'm the co-host along with my son, Joe HAGMANN. Folks, you're about to hear 3 hours of unbiased, uncensored news, analysis, and information you need to know in these perilous times. We broadcast each and every weeknight live from 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find us on the internet at HomelandSecurityUS.com. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your belief and trust in us, folks, as we walk through this minefield of current events together. Joe, welcome to the program.
Especially glad to be here today. We were very fortunate. No power outages, no flooding, as we were spared some of the
I did see Dorothy and Toto go by the window, though.
It was pretty windy. It was kind of hectic there for a couple hours, but it calmed down and didn't pick back up. But a lot of people were affected. And our prayers go out to those people in New York. There's fires the firemen couldn't get to. 80 houses were burned, I think, in one area. Yeah. I talked to Phil.
Okay.
He's all right.
Well.
He's doing all right. And Dave in Long Island, I tried to contact him, but the phones are down out there, so could not get a hold of him. But
track phones are offline, according to the information we have in that area.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. We've gone through some channels to make sure that people we know are okay. We know where they're not. We just don't know where they're at. So
yeah, there's a lot going on. The subways were flooded in New York City. They had a pretty nasty ride. We're going to be talking to somebody in New Jersey who is stranded and stuck in this storm without power. Going to be joining us in a couple minutes here. First off, though, tonight, Sandy curtails nuclear plants, oldest under alert. And this is an article from Reuters, and it was edited later. This is the later version of this article.
I got to tell you, this nuclear plant, we mentioned this last night.
Yeah, the Oyster Creek.
Yeah, and there was something not right. There was some sort of alert taking place here. What's going on there now?
Well, it says Hurricane Sandy slow to shut down a half a dozen U.S. nuclear power plants, while the nation's oldest facility declared a rare alert after the record storm surge pushed floodwaters high enough to endanger a key cooling system. Now, folks, remember in Fukushima, the earthquake and tsunami hit the reactors, and it wasn't until a few days after that the explosions happened. Well, that was from the lack of cooling of the spent fuel rods. And this article just goes on to say that everything's okay, blah, 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 blah. But the water did breach the safe zone, and it's rumored or speculating that one of the pumps that used to pump the water onto these fuel rods actually went underwater. The threshold
7 feet
was 7 feet. The water levels reached a peak of 7.4 feet above the threshold. And this article says, but the pump and motors did not flood. But there was an article before that they said they did not know. So they switched that. But that's just something to keep your eye on. The radiation monitoring site, there are sites on the internet. I think it's called RadNet. You can monitor the radiation levels from the nuclear sites across the USA.
I'm more into any type of but I would rather monitor independent sites than government sites, only because of the potential for censorship. And you were speaking of that. Let's segue right into that. You were talking about censorship earlier.
Oh yeah, there's a lot going on. We got
I don't get this.
Facebook censors Navy SEALs to protect Obama on Benghazi Gate.
Yeah,
that's the first censor thing. Also, Facebook censoring political posts as hate speech, and also Reality Check's Ben Swann's YouTube has been taken down. His page is up there, but there's only 3 videos on it, and it was apparently due to the questions asked to Barack Obama about the NDAA.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what before.
Now you're talking about a journalist of the, shall we say, mainstream media? I guess
Yeah, Ben Swan. He works for a local Fox correspondent station in the Midwest or in Cincinnati. Okay.
Now, are his shows sanctioned by Fox? In other words, or are they not?
I don't know. From what I've seen, he does segments that are aired on the local news, and then he puts those segments on YouTube. So maybe he does a segment every day, but only puts a YouTube video of the segments up once in a while, or when he thinks they're good, or when he does a popular subject or controversial subject.
Because we have to watch this. The people, because I'm getting reports of censorship as well by people in the blogosphere, by non, just by a whole bunch of people, and it's subtle censorship too. It's taking down without. There's no big to do it. And folks, you might recall back earlier this year, our website, GoDaddy, had kicked us out. They said, "Look, you've got 48 hours to move your website from our servers because we don't like the content." That's GoDaddy, and I'll tell you what, we had. This is after we paid $1,800 in a single month for additional bandwidth. Now, granted, that was my mistake. I did something really ignorant when I did this. When I put something on our website, I exceeded the bandwidth allowed, and we had a ton of bandwidth. But it was a video. But they kicked us out unceremoniously.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I'm reading the comments here on this article about Ben Swan. It says, "Check for yourself. The videos have not been taken down." Well, you go to his website or his YouTube channel, and there's 4 videos there.
Okay, so that's like somebody coming into your house.
3 videos.
Okay, somebody coming into your house and taking your silverware and hiding it in the basement somewhere underneath like a ton of tools. Hey, yeah, we didn't steal anything.
Right. I mean, that'd be like just having our interviews taken off YouTube, or our shows, archives from YouTube taken off.
Okay, well, this was
reported from the Daily Paul. The Daily Paul published a disturbing article, which is below here. I'll read. It says, high-level sources have hinted at something much more sinister operating behind the scenes, possibly linking to political pressure from the highest levels of our fascist system. And this is from the Daily Paul. It has become very clear over the past few days that something has happened with Ben Swan. All of his reality check videos have been taken down from YouTube. I don't think it takes much of an imagination to reach the likely conclusion he is being shut down. I could be wrong, but that's what appears to be happening.
Okay.
This is the same guy that actually asked Obama and Romney very tough questions recently, and those videos went big-time viral. In addition to Mr. Swan, made over 100 videos that covered important political topics, and it goes on to say he shared those videos, and they're very proud to have him be part of the Liberty Movement. And basically, it goes on to say that Mr. Swan, this is my gut tells me, he may need to change platforms, i.e. a new TV station, and there is
that's expensive to do.
There's a YouTube video on this article that says, help get Ben Swan a national TV show. But the different other censoring, this is from Breitbart, Facebook censors Navy SEALs to protect Obama on Benghazi Gate. And it says, over the weekend, Facebook took down a message by the Special Operations Speaks PAC, SOS, which highlighted the fact that Obama denied backup to the forces being overrun in Benghazi, which the picture shows Osama bin Laden in one part, and it says Obama called the SEALs and they got bin Laden. Then it shows Obama on a phone, and it says when the SEALs called Obama, they got denied.
Well, right, yeah, that's all theater.
So the Navy SEALs go to post this up on Facebook, and Facebook suspended the account and took down the post of the Navy SEAL. Nice.
So political, any type of speech with an element of political dissent against this current administration is in full force.
Yeah.
And the censorship is in full force.
Also on InfoWars, Facebook now censoring political posts as hate speech. Social network giant threatens to close Alex Jones' account over bin Laden al-Qaeda image. And it's an article talks about how he went to log into his account, and it said We've removed the following content you have posted or were the administrator of because it violates Facebook's statement of rights and responsibilities. So
I'm going to tell you,
and this is all happening within 7 to 10 days before the election.
Yes,
it's obvious.
Yes. Now I believe. Don't forget, George Bush is not. His hands are not clean in this whole mess either. That administration is not clean in this, nor are administrations prior. It's not. However, what really has happened, and it's like looking at I mean, you have to look at it realistically. Although it does transcend political party, it also has accelerated under Obama at the worst, at the most horrific levels. And don't forget, yesterday we mentioned about Scott Barish, the Tampa man, or the Hillsborough County man who got a visit from the Secret Service for posting something about Obama not being welcome in Tampa, and how his affiliation with FloridaCarry.org and such weighed into that whole mess. And this, we're seeing more and more and more of this.
Did you see the video of the father on Fox News of the Navy SEAL?
Tyrone Woods? No, I did not see it. I heard a lot about it.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to upload the soundbite, but he basically said that the blood is on their hands.
Absolutely.
And he did say he forgives them, but he wishes that they would stand up and
just
own
tell the truth.
Yeah,
that's all. Just tell the truth. Tell us what happened. It's and I'm surprised. Don't people read anymore? I'm getting so many emails from people that I swear to God.
I didn't mean to laugh, but I just thought of something. I was talking to somebody the other day about having a lot of books, because when the power goes out, it gives you a chance to sit down, you can read, and you learn so much more when you read versus watching video. At least that's my experience. When I read, I retain that information better, it seems, if I'm understanding what I'm reading.
Well, you've come a long way since high school, haven't you?
Yeah.
No, with no seriousness, look. We put up the article about on CanadaFreePress.com. We put up the article and HomelandSecurityUS.com about Benghazi. I've got a source, and this has all been vetted, and it's all coming out right now about what happened in Benghazi. And there is this push on by people to make it into something different. And look, I understand everyone has theories, and I'm okay with that. This kidnapping theory. Well, no, it's not that, but okay. But to see people push that to such levels, to me, signifies that there is some official manipulation going on with information. We've got to get this story out there. Well, why? Well, then when that's proven incorrect, because it can be, that's how the disinformation campaign works. But people don't, and folks of this audience, remember this statement. Just remember what I'm about to tell you, because it's going to come into play soon. Remember this statement. The statement is this: there were survivors of Benghazi, and if you don't think right now those survivors are being talked to, you're wrong. They're getting they are getting their stories, their accounts. Their accounts are being recorded right now by people that are friendly to the truth. Interesting.
That's good.
Think about that.
Question in chat. I want to do this now. They asked Doreen. She said, "Are we going to have election in 7 days?" My Way News posted this: "Could Sandy postpone elections?" And I'm going to play this audio clip from MSNBC entertaining the possibility of delaying elections due to hurricane destruction.
We've seen in the past situations where power is not restored in our own region here for days, for more than a week, for 10 days. What happens if we get to election day and they don't have power, which you need for many of these election booths, for the voting booths, which you need for people to get to the polls? Is there any precedent for doing something such as postponing a national election?
Well, look, elections are run by state and local officials. The federal government does not run the elections as it is in states. And look, there is some precedent to this. During 9/11, on 9/11 was the New York City mayoral race, and they delayed everything. It would have to be up to a local authority to do that. But that local authority, I think, look, you're going to be getting into all sorts of provisional ballot issues. I think that's the more likely scenario. You don't postpone the day itself, but maybe you expand the types of ballots. Maybe you're more lenient on checking people in, but forcing provisional votes, so it's going to take longer to verify the voters and all of those things. So I think that's the most likely scenario, is that you would have some localities that would have to move, change positions, maybe even delay, but that would seem the least likely option. But to come up with some way to deal with what you just said now, if you have an electronic voting machine and no power, how do you deal with that?
Well, you get paper and pen,
yeah,
and that's how you deal with it.
Purple fingers, remember? Iraq?
Yeah,
Let's go low-tech.
Somebody wrote in the chat room they're laying the groundwork for an excuse to shut down the elections, or that's true, they are, but really they can't. What will happen, if anything, is just some precincts that don't have power might be delayed, but as a nation, voting day will go on November 6th, right? November 6th.
Well, are you serious? You're looking at me with like November 6th?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was the 6th or 7th.
Cartoon bubble over your head of a question mark?
No, the elections will go on, barring some other catastrophic unknown event, if that is in the works, or you know what I mean. But they will be held, but I don't know how they would deal with precincts being out of power, or would they use that for an excuse? They already say that the Ohio results won't be in
for an excuse
on election night. We won't get a result that night.
Trust me, this is going to be a one, just like Sandy was a storm for the history books. This election is going to be one for the history books, and I guarantee people will be talking about this election much more than they are talking about about the 2000 election.
I hope not.
No, I believe it. You've got Obama that has lined up his people, his legal team in every state. You've got these UN advisors who should what we should do is gather them all in a football field. Now, I'm careful. I'm not going to say anything. And strap a generator to each one and have them walk the streets of Newark and help people out. And at least that way, they could serve some useful purpose.
Yeah. We're going to call.
Okay, I'll sing in the meantime. No, we're going to get Alan Karuba is coming on, and I got to tell you, folks. Do I need to disconnect, or I mean, you're okay? Okay.
Yeah, I think we got him on.
Now, Alan Karuba is an American.
Me.
Okay, Alan, hold on a second here. Alan Karuba is a great guy. I read his articles. I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, Alan Karuba is a prolific writer. He pens his articles at CanadaFreePress.com. He's a colleague of mine, a great guy. I look at him as not really a colleague. I look up to him because I'm not on the same level as a journalist as this man. But he's a public relations counselor and a freelance writer. He's you want to know anything about global warming? I got to tell you something. If you want to know about climate change, global warming, if you want the real deal with respect to what's going on, go to his website.
Facts, not fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
Blogspot.com.
And you'll find out what the real truth is. But Alan Karuba is in the middle of, he's in the path of, he's at ground zero of the hurricane.
Yeah, you can say that again.
And he's actually, we're talking to him in the dark. He's in the dark outside of Newark, New Jersey. He is armed and loaded.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yep. And he's sitting in the dark just talking to us. Alan, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. That was a lovely introduction. I'm a fan of yours because I naturally read your articles and the commentaries at the Canada Free Press, and it's very you bring a very refreshing and incisive point of view to bear on a lot of issues. I do the same only because I've spent well over 50 years as a business and science writer, and before that as a journalist, and I'm a book reviewer for 50 years as well. So I read everything, and after a while, you don't even have to be that smart if you've read everything and you can lay your hands on for 50 years, you kind of know stuff.
50. First of all, 50 years is a long time. That's longer than I've been alive.
Well, I'm going to really shock you because I'm 75.
I'll tell you, you look and sound like a young man. Actually, no.
I feel like that. I feel like that.
The statement I made was totally erroneous, and I apologize. No, it's, wow. And you look like a dapper man, too. I'm just funning with you, though. I know that Alan, it's got to be tough where you're at, and this is only the first day.
Well, it's more than the first day. We lost electricity on Sunday. So what's today? Tuesday?
Yeah.
And I'm serious because the loss of electricity is a surreal experience, because everything that you normally do and every function that flows from electricity it ceases. And I'm living in a beautiful upscale apartment complex in a little suburban town called South Orange, New Jersey. It's just on the border and adjacent to Newark. And it's plunged into total darkness. And for that matter, so is all of North and probably most of South Jersey. So we're talking a state of 8 million people who literally cannot turn on the light.
Well, okay, and I got to tell you, there's a psychological component to that. Psychological component to that, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
It's a complete lifestyle change, and people don't really get it until they're in it, I suppose.
Yeah, to me, I draw a much bigger lesson from it, though, and that is we've had years and years and years in this country, particularly from the Environmental Protection Agency, but also aided by the Department of Energy, in which the government has been determined to reduce the amount of plants that generate electricity, particularly coal-fired plants. Coal-fired plants used to generate about 50% of all the electricity used in the United States. We sit on top of enough coal for 200 years of use. And yet, this administration, particularly the Obama administration, has declared war on coal mining and all use of coal. And the result is we are losing coal-fired plants right and left. Well, you've got to replace them with something, but they're not being replaced.
Well, that's by design. What is the end game here with that, Alan? I mean,
to impoverish the nation. A nation without adequate reliable electrical resources is a third world banana republic. And that's part and parcel of all this nonsense about solar and wind, two of the most uncompetitive, unpractical, and unreliable forms of electrical generation. And all you hear about is wind and solar and wind. It's worse than idiotic. It's treacherous.
Wow. And this is all by design, of course. This is, as you said, to impoverish. And I believe that. I mean, obviously, this is what we are faced with going into. And Obama, he's folks. You remember him saying, "You go ahead and build a coal-fired plant. We're just going to. It's going to be cost prohibitive. Yeah, we're going to bankrupt you." Nice. So I guess you're not a chic if you don't have a windmill and a solar panel on your house, right? Is that the deal? I mean, seriously.
Well, the irony is that half of the environmental lunatics are opposed to wind energy because the turbines are Cuisinarts for birds, and the other half think that the bird. I'll tell you, the bird and the bat population in this country is being decimated by these hideous machines, which of course have to be built way far away from the cities that depend on them. And what most people don't know is that they don't build a solar or farm or a wind farm without having a traditional backup plant, coal, natural gas, nuclear, without having some form of traditional, reliable energy. Because hey, the wind doesn't blow every day and the sun goes away at night.
Yeah, that's true. Wow. Thinking about this whole process, though, we have an aging infrastructure, and
yes, we do.
I think part of this. Look, I'm certain that Sandy. I'm certain that we could have not gotten away with the majority of damage that happened on the East Coast.
Think Sandy was of a magnitude. They had these kind of super hurricanes occur every 100 years or so.
Right.
And this one would have, if it was just a hurricane, it would have come up the coast and and caused a lot of trouble. But this one ran smack into a cold front from the west, and the combination of the two just stripped everything in its path.
That's hard. I mean, yeah, the magnitude of the storm. Pardon me, those are sound effects. No, not really. That's my phone.
All you gotta do is hit the red button, and it'll stop.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, but the storm really was something else. The way it was.
Be darned. Let's see, red button.
From the beginning, the way that they were stating it was going to make that miraculous left-hand turn into the United States, and the way that it grew. I've watched several videos on weather manipulation, and that they have different indicators, and some of those indicators were pointed out in some videos done while looking at the storm, almost like they were guiding it and trying to help it along and keep it going.
Interesting.
Well, wrap your mind around this.
Here it comes.
The storm hit. The electricity went out on Sunday. The latest estimate, or perhaps the soonest that we'll get electricity in New Jersey and New York, is probably Sunday, and that's optimistic. We're talking about a week's time without any electricity, and it may go a bit longer.
Sunday.
Yeah. Try spending a week without turning on the lights.
Yeah.
You know, once again, I revert back to that psychological stress that would have on people, and
I have a cure for that. It's called Hartley's and Gibson's Cream Sherry. I've been administering it throughout the week.
Self-medicating.
Self-medicating.
I'm right there with you on that. I don't drink, but I tell you what, I certainly would be at this point if I was.
I bet you would.
Yeah, it's only because of you've got a good spirit, good sense of humor, good outlook on things. You really do, and of course, your experiences over life I'm sure has helped you on that.
It's very helpful. I mean, the one good thing about old age is you learn patience. You understand that getting all out of sorts over things over which you have no control, it makes no sense. So it really is an internal calming influence. But I'm also blessed. I have a lot of friends that have been calling me from all around the country and asking how I am, and so there's a great deal of comfort in that.
Well, and certainly you know that you've got friends up north of you that should you need, you can bug out and you've got a place. So
I mean, I've
that's
been
very kind of you.
No, I wasn't talking about us. Hell no.
Oh, I can't come and hang out with you guys?
No.
Oh, well, then the hell with you.
No. I'm in all seriousness. Of course, you've got a place up here.
I know. I have you talk about being able to hang out with friends or relatives. I have a friend who's a friend. I have a cousin who lives in a very fancy schmancy condo in New York City, and you couldn't get me across the river to hang out there this week. You couldn't pay me enough money to do that, even if I could get into the city.
Yeah, I know that's got to be tough. I don't know what bridges are open or closed, but I know the subways were closed, and
I got to tell you, I looked at the tunnel, the tunnel,
the Hudson.
The Hudson, thank you. That one.
It's underwater.
Yeah, I looked at that.
I'm literally underwater.
We've taken that so many times. I looked at that and I'm thinking, because every time we go in the tunnel, I think, oh man,
Yeah, he says it too every time we go through the tunnel.
I don't like tunnels.
No, and then
I don't even like bridges much.
Oh, yeah, bridges too. But I thought, oh man, I looked at the picture. I thought, geez, this is. Imagine somebody being stuck in there. Wow.
Absolutely.
Anyway, let's talk. What are your thoughts? Because we've got mainstream media coming out and saying, you know what? There's no looting. There's not going to be any looting.
What's that about?
Well, Newark has had its riots in the '60s,
right?
And they had to send in the National Guard and what have you. They were using real bullets, as I understand. And which is why when the Associated Press asked me would I go down and cover it, I said not for what you guys are paying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A battle zone in America, which
it was, but frankly, my sense of what's occurring in Newark is that they're just as shocked as anybody else. There's no sense of any looting going on or any disturbances in Newark, and I just think they're just as stunned by what's gone on as everybody else here.
But I have a feeling that's going to change in a couple of days. It could. Yeah,
it could, but I'm not gonna speculate on that. I just don't see it happening. In fact, if any social unrest occurs, inevitably, whether it's Newark or Los Angeles or any one of the big cities, they always burn down their own backyard. I never understood that, but they do. They loot their own shops and they burn down their own backyard.
Well, it's that urban redevelopment mentality in a way. I've never understood why that happened either.
The interesting aspect of this is that the environmentalists want to crowd everyone, all of us, into cities. That's part of their plan to, save Mother Earth and the trees and the birds and what have you. And they're always plotting and scheming ways to force people to abandon the suburbs and live in the cities. And of course, when things go south, like Hurricane Sandy, that's really not a very pleasant place to be.
You make a good point, because Agenda 21 pushes people to high rises like worker bees, in a hive, and a lot of it, you're clustered in terms of population, and I suspect a lot has to do with control. So it really doesn't make sense. I mean, I'm trying to work this out mentally.
Well, it makes sense if you don't like humanity, if you don't like human beings, if you think of them as units or statistics and not as living, breathing souls that have a right to be free and have the right to make their own choices about their own lives. No, that's not how the intellectual elite view people. They're just objects to be moved around to fulfill some utopian dream.
See, I can get that on a microcosmic level. Like if I'm dealing with somebody that, we'll say, if we're looking at a homicide or something, a questionable death, I can get that mentality on that microcosmic level, on that limited level of somebody just kind of snapping or somebody just being evil. But when when you indict an entire mindset or a group of people, you apply that mentality to a group of people, powerful people. That's where I have trouble, I guess, really.
It's very scary. But people have to understand that this is not something new. The whole idea of progressive or liberal politics and policies has been around since the beginning of the last century, in 1901 and thereafter. You had Teddy Roosevelt, you had Woodrow Wilson, you had FDR, you had LBJ with the war on poverty, which didn't solve poverty at all. In fact, there's so many federal poverty programs right now at work that they add up to about well over $9,000 per person in the country. We could literally take all the programs, turn them into cash, and give it to everybody. End of poverty.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
But that's how the liberal mindset is.
Yeah. They waste so much money on these big government programs, these secret black budgets that they have, and even these entitlement programs. And the Social Security people who paid into it obviously deserve that money, but the money they waste, they could feed the whole world.
It's appalling, the money that the government wastes. But most people don't realize the government borrows $5 billion a day. 40 cents of every dollar the government spends is borrowed. You don't get out of debt by spending money.
Wait.
The government does.
Give me that figure again, Alan. $40 billion a day? Is that what you said?
$5 billion a day.
$5 billion. I don't know where
it's 40 cents of every dollar.
Okay, $5 billion a day. And if you think about that, $5 billion a day.
Borrowing.
Before you know it, you have a $16 trillion debt.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Alan?
Sustainable.
If we can kind of change directions here, I've been wanting to talk to you anyway about this.
Sure.
The economy. I mean, what's your take on what is going to happen here with our economy?
We're out on the cliff. We are literally on the cusp of collapse. The dollar isn't worth anything. The Federal Reserve has lowered the interest rate to next to zero.
Right.
And so banks can't make any money loaning money, so they sit on it. I mean, they're in the business of loaning money, but they can't make any money. They can't, charge interest because the Federal Reserve has set their own interest rate at zero.
Well,
so they're borrowing from the Federal Reserve, and then the Federal Reserve turns around and uses the same useless money to pay off government debt by buying Treasury notes. I mean, it's a huge charade.
So I think we understand that as a people, at least our audience does. But where we're having, or at least I'm having trouble, is what are the mechanics? Explain to me what you see as a collapse. Like,
I'll give you a perfect example.
All right.
The Weimar Republic in Germany in the late 1920s, where you could buy a loaf of bread for $1 million in the morning, and the price would go up to $4 million by the afternoon. I mean, the money had no value. People no longer had any confidence in it. There's a reason they call them banks and trusts. The local bank here, the Maplewood Bank and Trust. That's my bank. Well, trust is the entire linchpin of the economy. You write a check, someone trusts you to have the money in your bank to make good on it. It's all trust. And when people decide that the money is not worth anything, goodbye. That's a perfect scenario for a strong man to appear, or someone who has a messianic notion of his own power to step in and take over and declare themselves the Führer, or in this case, the leader.
Yeah,
that's what scares me about Mr. Obama.
The Weimar Republic is a perfect example because that's exactly what they did. Is what we're doing: printing money to get out of war debt and to get out of debt.
Yeah.
And
we're not reducing the level of spending that the government is involved in, and it's not that hard. Representative Ryan, who's running for vice president with Romney, has a list of government programs that we could literally cut millions of dollars out of the budget with a simple vote to eliminate the programs.
Do you think we will? I mean, we could, but will we?
No. Looking at the political class in America today, they range from being incredibly stupid to incredibly corrupt. I mean, we've got guys like Charlie Rangel, who should have been ridden out of town on a rail, who is still the dean of the New York legislative group of people. I mean, the ultimate example is California.
Oh yeah,
California is completely insane. It has debt, up to its neck, and it has regulations beyond comprehension.
Wow. We look at this, and we're headed right for this fiscal cliff, and people don't realize it. I mean, there's this element of normalcy out there. If you look, and people are still, grabbing their 60-inch or whatever big TVs, dragging them out of Best Buy and whatever stores, and there's no connection. The closest thing I've seen, Alan, to anybody connecting to anything is the preparations up here in northwestern Pennsylvania to Hurricane Sandy. People look genuinely scared, and I got to tell you, I went to Walmart just right before the storm just to see what was going on, and
their shelves had no water on them. Surprisingly,
I took pictures, and I should put them up. But
and thank goodness nobody up here really had to use them because power stayed. I think 2,000 customers lost power here, which is very minor.
Hey, so the wind blows the wrong way up here, our power goes out. So I was expecting the worst. And
we have somewhere in the area of 10.5 million people without power right now as we're speaking.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Northeast sector. New Jersey hardest hit. New York just like something out of a science fiction movie.
Yeah.
They're going to be pumping water out of the subways there for a better part of maybe 2-3 weeks. After that, they have to go step by step through hundreds of miles of underground railroad tunnels and check every single electrical connection, because seawater is the enemy.
Yeah, of course.
It'll corrode everything it touches. So they have literally an enormous job. And in New York, the subways are everything. That's how people travel.
And I want to ask you, I've seen a lot of people on the internet, whether it be comments or videos or even some journalists downplaying this, saying, this was all hype and no destruction. What do you have to say to that?
Destruction.
I say anybody who pays any serious, who believes that the mainstream media, whether newspapers or radio or television, that they have any clue is overestimating their capacity to gather the news and report the news. Most daily newspapers now, their newsrooms are pared down to the barest minimum of reporters and editors. They sit at, and all of them are expected to turn out not 1 or 2 stories a day, but 5, 6, 7 or more. So daily newspapers are really suffering in terms of the amount of manpower they have at their fingertips. And, of course, they're suffering because the Internet has eaten up all their advertising income in terms of classified ads that don't even exist hardly anymore. So I think just as we're going to see Newsweek cease to publish a print edition at the end of this year, you're probably going to see that with any number of other newsstand magazines. I'm going to miss them because that's what I grew up with.
Of course.
And I'm really critical of the mainstream media because these guys and gals are still talking about global warming, and the Earth has been cooling since 1998, and they don't get it. They're impervious to the actual facts, and you'll see that, for example, on PBS. They have a special, I think it's either been aired or about to be aired, about the skeptics, the global warming skeptics, and the nerve of these people to dispute. Well, the science behind it is utterly bogus, and people just have to understand carbon dioxide, which is what is referred to as a greenhouse gas, has no effect on the Earth's temperature. It's about 0.038% of the Earth's atmosphere. That's nothing. And you can close down every factory in the world to stop the emissions of carbon dioxide, and one good volcano eruption, and bar the door.
Wow.
Yeah.
People don't understand the simple science of it is that the Earth produces carbon dioxide.
Yeah, and it recycles it back into oxygen through photosynthesis.
Exactly.
Third grade science.
And carbon dioxide is as vital to all vegetation as oxygen is to all human and animal life. If you eliminate or decrease carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, you literally get a shrinking forest and less crop yield, and everything that grows out of the ground needs carbon dioxide. It's the more the better. And you've got these echo nuts talking about carbon sequestration. We've got to put it in the ground, pipe it into the. These people are lunatics.
Oh, you know what, Alan? I forgot to plug in my Chevy Volt. Hang on a second. Let me. Yeah, reminded me. Yeah, lunacy indeed with respect to this climate change. I mean, global warming. I do suspect that. Well, let me back up and get into an area which I don't know if you're comfortable with or if you know
I'll
how
tell
you feel about
I'm
this.
not comfortable.
All right. Judy and I were talking yesterday. Yeah, Judy McLeod, founding editor of Canada Free Press, of course.
Right.
And we were just kind of talking out loud and just wondering, look, if the powers can mess with the weather over the Olympics in China, is there weather modification that could possibly be, going on? Maybe not.
I'm not sure what you mean by weather modification because, as we have seen and witnessed with Hurricane Sandy and just about every other weather event and condition, man has zero control over it. It cannot really modify it in any significant way. I mean, if a monsoon decided to hit Beijing during the Olympics, a lot of people are going to get wet.
Well, okay.
There's no way anyone could have turned Hurricane Sandy out into the Atlantic or diminished its power.
Well, how about accidentally increasing its power by doing something,
Well, that's science fiction. It sounds nice, but we're not doing anything to increase the power of this hurricane. Its power is dependent on perfectly natural weather systems. And the best way to understand the weather is to understand that the definition of weather is chaos, utter and complete chaos. That's why your local weatherman really cannot predict the weather out beyond maybe 4 days. After 4 days, he has no clue, just a good guess. And that's because he's depending on computer models. Well, the problem with computer models is they have no way of factoring in clouds.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Think about it. Clouds. Even the most award-winning meteorologist will tell you in a moment of honesty they have no idea why the clouds do what they do, why they suddenly show up, and why they suddenly go away.
Well, I've been doing some research on this weather modification, especially since Sandy popped up, and one article that stuck out I saw today is Obama orders DHS to control hurricanes, and it goes back to a program, HAMP. It's a hurricane aerosol and microphysics program that used $61 million taxpayer dollars to start. It's filed under a patent.
Yeah, I saw that. And kind of
Richard Spinnard of NOAA, Assistant Administrator for the Office of Oceanic and Atmospheric Research, sent the DHS Program Manager for Advanced Research Projects Agency. HS, ARPA. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
There's HARP, and then we have John Holdren talking about the chemtrails. Spraying.
Get a net and throw it over John Holdren. He hates the human race.
Oh, I know.
And thinks it would be a good idea if a whole bunch of us died.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So let's understand, and this is, by the way, the science advisor, the czar science advisor to the President of the United States, who knows even less than you two guys.
I'm not sure that's possible.
So just because some government agency has been told to, gin up HARP or gin up whatever weird stuff they've got, don't believe it. That's just hogwash. It's just malarkey.
Okay. Well, to me though, when you look at the possibilities, I mean, we saw science fiction turn into science fact now with these, and you probably didn't get a chance to see this because it just came out here over the last couple of days. They did a test in the western Utah desert of these electromagnetic missiles, and you can shut down the electronics inside a building. I mean, it's very focused. We've had these capabilities before, but this is very focused. And so there are things out there that we don't know about, obviously, and there are things but this was kind of an interesting aspect to things. Look, we need to really do a lot of research into this, but I was just curious as to what your thoughts were. on the ability maybe to move or to affect or somehow.
Well, what they do, and going back to Holdren here, to combat global warming, he published a paper about chemtrails, the cloud seeding, the spraying of aerosols into the air.
Yeah.
And it's been documented that they're spraying heavy metals such as aluminum, barium, and sulfur dioxide into the air through these planes. And what effects that has on the weather, some call it cloud seeding, we're not sure of. We know they're trying to manipulate the weather.
I'm not convinced of it. I think it's just a normal phenomenon when the plane passes through a certain zone of temperature. It will produce the trail, the white. It's water vapor. That's what I'm trying to say.
No,
water vapor.
I understand what you're trying to say, and there are dueling levels of thought there. But.
Yeah, if you get a chance, there is a UN treaty on weather weapons. So check that out if that interests you.
Well, that missile, that electrical magnetic missile, that sounds like a weapons system to me. That doesn't sound like a weather altering. I can't even get the word.
No,
out.
I understand. No, I mentioned that only because what we're seeing is a lot of science fiction. When you said science fiction, it does sound like science fiction, but the comment there was science fiction. It's now science fact. And that's kind of why I brought that into this discussion. To say,
the difference between you and I think you're a little less skeptical than I am, because I've been listening and reading NOAA's predictions and weather statistics and what have you. And a few years go by, and it turns out it's utterly bogus. They've rigged the statistics. The same with NASA. When they put out weather-related information, these are two giant government agencies that need to maintain their budget. And if you don't think that's not a mitigating factor, that when they sit down to ask Congress for money, if you don't think they're not perfectly willing to publish any kind of hogwash about the Earth's temperature, then you're a bit naive.
Oh, no, I believe that does take place. I've got to tell you, I believe that does take place for budgetary reasons and for money-grabbing reasons. And now, boy, though, Alan, to say I'm a bit more trusting, or I don't know, man. I'm probably less trusting than the average bear. However, I've been following. Okay, now look, you consider the source, and some people don't like the source. For example, Jesse Ventura, his conspiracy theories program.
Oh, please.
Oh, okay. I hit a nerve there, huh?
No, because the man is a whack job.
Really?
He just look at his career. There's just something not, his head's not screwed on that tightly. And so Jesse Ventura would be the last person I would look to for any serious examination or investigation or commentary on serious issues.
Okay. See, I'd vote for him over any of the candidates running for president right now.
Well, we're just going to have to disagree about that.
That's okay. That's fine. The only reason I brought him up, and again, some people, shoot the messenger for the message. Now, let's say Joe Smith, came on the scene and said, look at this. We're bringing in this evidence, regardless of who the messenger is. We're bringing in this evidence to show that, hey, there's people out there talking about this kind of stuff. Could it be? Is it possible? Look, we don't know. We don't have Joe and I don't have the facts. I mean, we don't have all we have is this stable of anecdotal evidence at best right now.
Okay.
But I just don't want to close my mind to the fact that, hey, could this be something more than, is there something more to this? But I don't want to go out too far on that limb without evidence, and I don't want to.
No, I understand. I think it's my background as a science writer. Tends to make me want to see the facts
I've got it right there with you.
Examine these things. But I mean, I recently received an email noting that FEMA had just graduated its first class of young
brown shirts, if you will.
Brown shirts, basically. Yeah, thank you. I was looking for a nice adjective. That's how these totalitarian movements get their beginning. Indoctrinating young people.
Now, there's something.
And frankly, that's been going on since the 1960s in every school in America.
Okay, explain that. Because, man, I'm glad you said that. Explain that. When you say every school in America, I love that because people don't get that. Go ahead.
Well, part of the problem is they've been dumbed down. I mean, we're graduating year after year young people who do not have a strong math capability, have even less knowledge of actual science, are often barely literate in terms of ability to write, spelling, grammar, all the fundamentals that an earlier generation, the ones that grew up in the 40s and 50s and are now, parents and grandparents, those were well-educated people. But by the 60s, the teachers' unions literally took over the educational system, and we've seen the price, because the educational system's not about the kids. It's about the school's teachers' union, and they're enormously powerful, whatever state they happen to be in.
Okay.
All of these public service unions. If I had the power, I would just outlaw them. They don't exist. They exist really to plunder the public treasury with pensions and health plans and salaries that are insane. And you can go to any state. This is why. What was it? Wisconsin, when they tried to take away the collective bargaining rights.
Yes.
All the public service and teachers unions piled into Wisconsin, spent millions to overturn that, and yet the people of Wisconsin, God bless them, said no. We agree with the governor. We think you shouldn't have those collective bargaining rights. And once that tool is taken away, the power of these unions will be broken.
But it goes back to the mentality behind that. What we talked about that brought us into this, the brown shirts, if you will. Boy, how can I explain this? Just that what we're seeing taking place with FEMA has been happening within our school systems, as you have indicated. Mm-hmm. So there's this element of loyalty, not to any misplaced loyalty, if you will.
Loyalty to the United States of America. It's a miracle they still say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Well, that's true, and people don't realize how. I don't think people realize how just how immense this is. This mindset, this movement to really capture our youth and to hold them hostage.
Right.
So, wow. I'll tell you, time just flies. Mr. Karuba, we've reached the top of the hour. We're going to have to cut you loose, but I got to tell you, man, you're an interesting man.
If you need some ammo, too, we'll send it to you, because you're in Newark in the dark. So that's no fun.
I'm going to tell you something.
It's dark outside, and people getting restless, so I might need some.
Well, we'll come down and extract you. On the condition, however, that we're going to talk more about potential... science fiction, areas of science fiction. All right.
Anytime. My great pleasure.
Well, God bless you. It is always a pleasure to talk with you. Folks,
this is Alan Karuba.
Yes.
Factsnotfantasy.blogspot.com is the website.
That's right. Obviously, the blog is, it's up on the net, but it normally has a new contribution and commentary every day except Saturdays. So... right now, it's rather static until I can power up my computer.
Oh well, and look, anything we can do for you, just let us know, because we've got to keep you up and running. And
I'm with you 100% on that.
It's a bad state of affairs there. Just keep safe, keep in touch, and we'll be in touch. God bless you, my friend. Folks, you're listening to the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. This, the 30th day of October, 2012. I'm Doug Hagmann, and of course, with me is my son, Joe Hagmann. True skeptics, true truth seekers. And you know, Joe, I got to tell you, for what it's worth, look, here's a guy, Alan Karuba. I respect him a lot. I love the guy. I think he's got a lot of information, and he's
a smart guy.
Yeah, but you know, here's where we are. I think we're looking at this. Maybe, is there more to something? And maybe there's not. Maybe we're full of beans.
Sometimes it could be, but with this weather modification, I mean, I would just say a lack of, What would you think? Like you would talk to Steve when he would tell you this stuff before? What would your reaction be? It would be the same way.
And people. Thank you. People have to really be aware of that. There are certain levels of belief that you really can't go to, kind of like the elementary school. You can't go to the second grade until you accomplish the first. In a normal system.
Right.
And that is where I was at. You're not going to get pulled into 8th grade if you can't really spell. Again,
right. Using the school just as an analogy. It's not a matter of.
Of course, that doesn't happen in America anymore. I know, but that's exactly. So yes, I fully expect people to.
But see, he's right on with global warming,
right?
And he has everything together there. And
if you'd asked me about that, I wouldn't know really too much about that.
I was just surprised about the chemtrail.
Right.
And there's so much evidence. I mean, if you're not looking at it, like going back to what we were just saying, how you wouldn't be receptive to certain ideas. If you haven't read it, if you haven't seen it, if you don't know what to look for, you're flying in the dark, and it's just it seems so out there.
Oh, it does. It really
Well, what our government has done is turn tyrannical. They're trying to play God with everything: the food, the genetic manipulation, the DNA of food DNA, and weather DNA. I mean, it's happening everywhere. They are manipulating and destroying life as God created it and trying to change it.
And exactly. And once you start down that road, I don't think you can turn back.
No,
it's difficult to turn back. And I want to thank Marianne for sending a book, The Psychic Battlefield. I got to tell you, reading that and thinking, looking into the mind wars, if you will, that took place in World War II and beyond. Holy cow!
Folks, we'll be back after these short messages. You're listening to the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. This Tuesday, October 30th, 2012. Stay with us.
Hi folks, Doug Hagmann here. You might know me as the co-host from the Hagmann and Hagmann Report, or as a frequent guest on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. If you're like me, you're tired and confused over today's headlines. You just don't know where to turn for accurate, concise information about really what's going on, what's truly going on in today's society. If you don't know where to turn for accurate, well-researched, and properly vetted news, I've got a suggestion. In fact, it's a requirement. Bookmark Canada Free Press. That's CanadaFreePress.com on the Internet. It's just not for Canada. It's for news across the world. Judy McLeod, founding editor, has put together a vast array of talented writers like Kelly O'Connell, Daniel Greenfield, Dr. Ilana Johnson-Powell, a lot of guest columnists, very talented writers. Folks, that's Canada Free Press at CanadaFreePress.com. Now mobile friendly. Follow on Facebook, because without America, there is no free world.
If you're stumped, you don't know what kind of gift to give to a friend or a loved one, I'm telling you, you must go to 4physics.com. That's the numeral 4, PHYSICS.com. This is your one-stop shopping palace. That's the only way I can put it. I could spend easily an hour on this website. Innovative, fun, educational. There are games, books, weather instruments, unique time-telling devices, jewelry, optical devices, laboratory equipment. Let me give you an example. We all know we can tell time with a sundial. You've seen those advertised. Did you know that you could tell time by the stars? At 4physics.com, you can buy a horologium nocturnum. This was a navigational device used in the 13th century by navigators at night to tell time by the stars. It's beautifully crafted in the shape of a pendant made of bronze and pewter or gold and silver. Absolutely a stunning gift. I would be proud to give it to anyone. You must go to 4physics.com. Even if you're not stumped, that's 4physics. That's the numeral 4, PHYSICS.com. It's your one-stop shopping palace. Any problems that you have, I don't know what to get Grandpa, I don't know what to get my loved one, that's unique, you will find it at 4physics.com. Please take my word for it. Go to the website, but give yourself a lot of time because you're not going to want to leave. 4physics.com.
You better wake up fast and listen to this, America. The Obama campaign has launched attack squads disguised as truth teams dedicated to intimidating and silencing all political dissent carried over the internet that criticizes the Marxist Obama. Truth squads specifically focused on covering up Obama's endless trail of lies, corruption, and subversion, and using the Gestapo power of our own government to police and censor the internet and shut down websites that dare to carry the real truth about Obama's Marxist coup. Remember the names of these Gestapo-style agencies that work right there in your neighborhood. KeepingHisWord.com, KeepingGOPHonest.com, and AttackWatch.com. KGB, SS, and Gestapo-style police-state gangster organizations at work to silence the important voices of patriot dissent, some of which have already been shut down by Obama's orders. Adolf Hitler would have been proud. We're the 21st century Tea Party patriots.
Hold on to your seat. The Hagmann and Hagmann flight is now taking off. Doug and Joe Hagmann have cleared the runway of TSA agents, jihadists, political crackpots, and global elitists. Now get ready for some real news. Here they are, Doug and Joe Hagmann.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to hour number 2 of the Hagmann and Hagmann Report this Tuesday, October 30th, 2012. We're going to open up the phone line so you guys can call in at 661-244-9839. That's 661-244-9839. We just got done talking with Alan Karuba.
A great guy.
Canada Free Press. Yep. Also has a website, factsnotfantasy.blogspot.com. And
you know, I just want to point out to everybody listening to this program, we allow people to talk. Like, you hear Hannity and you hear other people, other talk shows, they talk over people, they're rude to people. It doesn't matter. If you've got a dissenting opinion, or if you've got something else to offer, or if you've got a different viewpoint, or whatever it might be, talk to us. Let's have intellectual discourse.
I like debating.
I like debating too.
Respectfully debating.
Right. However, you know, when you ask somebody to come on and you kind of extend beyond the parameters which you discussed in the pre-interview,
yeah,
it's a little bit more. You've got to be a little bit more careful because we don't ambush. We're not into ambush interviews. We're not into we're not trying to better or one up somebody. No. And look, I am so. All I want to do is learn. Just teach me, show me, tell me. Give me information. Give us information. That's what we're at.
Well, here's some people who have this dissenting view. Producer Michael Moore, MoveOn.org ad.
Oh, folks, have you seen this?
Guys, if you are on the internet now or you're listening to this via archive and you have not seen this ad, just do a search on MoveOn ad. Has old ladies saying, "Oh, we're going to burn this M-effer down," and then they get even more graphic, and it's a bunch of old people, pretty much a vote for Obama,
elderly
folks,
elderly,
and it's all what they say in this video is just completely disgusting. It has no place on any ad, political or anything other for any other reason. It's not comedy. It's not funny.
No, I look when you showed it to me.
Yeah, it says there are grandmothers and grandfathers, great aunts and uncles, beloved counselors, kindly neighbors. They are the greatest generation. If these people are the greatest generation...
This is what we've been reduced to? This is what America stands for? This piece of crap Michael Moore has produced this. I'm sorry. If you watch this video, you will be right there with me. How can anyone
We can't even play it on the show.
No. How can people exploit this kind of these people? How can this is the greatest sin to me, to take these people and wow.
No, it's definitely
if somebody did this to my grandmother, if somebody did this to my grandmother,
I wonder. You know what? We should, if we had facial recognition software and pictures of congressmen's mothers and fathers and grandparents, I wonder how many which ones would match up to which, and we could find out who they did use for these ads, because who would participate? I don't know one old person, just for example, my grandmother. She never would entertain. I mean, if you watch a movie and they say, the F word, she wouldn't watch it. She just would hate it, hate the actors in it,
Oh, exactly.
I don't understand how they could get old people to agree to even say
elderly people, please, okay?
Old people, elderly people, people that are above the age of me. I don't know.
Okay, no, these are senior citizens, obviously senior citizens, probably in the 70s, I would say, that are just being profane. The script called for profanity. They complied. Are you serious? I mean, is this what we've been reduced to as a country, as a nation, as a mindset? The corruption, the spiritual bankruptcy of people, including Michael Moore, and especially Michael Moore? Is this what we're doing? Is this any way to get your point across?
Yeah. Is this going to motivate people to go out and vote? I mean, really, if I was an independent, I would, and not undecided, and saw this, I would just decide not to vote at all, I mean, it's just, like you said, this is what we've been reduced to. And also, another unimportant news, Debbie Wasserman Schultz involved in a police altercation outside a voting precinct.
Wow, that's a surprise.
And what she did was holding up traffic, and a cop came and told her, she needs to get on the sidewalk with the rest of the people because she's holding up the polling place. She's holding up traffic. And she called the mayor. And the mayor came down, and she gave the mayor an earful, and gave the cop an earful. But this just goes to show that the congressmen and congresswomen and whatever else these people are, you go try to do that. You stop traffic for a minute, and then tell the cop you're not going to listen to his orders to get off the sidewalk. You'll be beaten and tased before the words leave your mouth.
Don't tase me, bro.
It's just disgusting.
I'm sorry. Oh man, my head hurts.
Is it from that ad? Still?
No, it's everything. Help me.
And some good news here. I saw this on InfoWars. New national anti-TSA campaign, opt out and film week. Huge new First Amendment project arrives this Thanksgiving, and it looks like they're. And in front of this one,
we're going to have to look. I'm going to contact Mr. Jones, Alex Jones, and we're going to get behind this.
Yeah,
I really think we need to push this.
You remember last time they had the opt-out day?
Yeah, I think we need to. Once again, it doesn't matter what you think of people in terms of. In this case, it's the message that's so important. It's the message. Look at the cancer clusters caused by these machines that no one's talking about, no one's reporting.
Right.
The fact that you could take a nuclear or a radiation detection device near one of these scanners, it'll register unsafe levels of radioactivity. We need to fight against this. I believe we need to fight against this.
Yeah, but this National Opt-Out Week is November 19th through November 26th. Hopefully it gets as much backing as the last one did, where they shut down the body scanners for pretty much a stand-down, so they didn't have to combat angry citizens who were going to refuse their orders.
They exposed their weakness on that day, at that time, at that period of time. They exposed their weakness when the spotlight of truth shone upon the TSA at the airports. They became frightened, like little rats running away, like little cockroaches, if you will. When the light comes on, they scurry into their corners, their dark corners. Yes, I'm comparing the TSA to cockroaches. Okay, that's intentional.
That's You're hurting the reputation of cockroaches across the world.
Yeah, a good point. We cannot forsake our liberty for the theater of security. We know this. So how do we combat it? How do we do our civic duty combating this? this is the way. This is a way. Let's get behind this. And I have not really talked to Alex about this or got involved in this, but this sounds like a fantastic. Is this an InfoWars initiative, or is this something else?
It looks like it is.
Because it doesn't matter to me who is pushing this.
It says National Anti-TSA Campaign, Opt-Out, and Film Week. It looks like, they are the ones that are spearheading this. So good for them, and I hope we'll get behind it, definitely, and I hope it gets a lot of coverage, and I hope people stand up.
But you know what gets me, and
I know what you're going to say.
Go ahead. What?
Start. They say opt-out week, 19th to November 26th. How about we just start on the 19th, and we'll leave it at that?
Open-ended?
Yeah, open-ended.
I love it. Because if we push them, and this is something, these people are cowards, and if we push them to the extreme, and they're going to back down.
They are cowards. They're like the internet tough guys.
Exactly. And no, what I was going to say earlier was what gets me is this. You've got a great initiative like this, and I am for example, I'm censored on many web forums. They see my name, the web forums, they say,
we've been abolished from you.
Yeah. Look, if we could all just get together behind something like this, even if you think InfoWars is a bad place, whatever, if you think HomelandSecurityUS.com, they're not credible, they're bad people, get behind the initiative. Do your civic duty to restore your rights under the Bill of Rights and the Constitution.
Yeah.
Please do it. Let's do it.
If we can't all agree under, freedom, uniting under freedom, then there's a bigger problem. And that bigger problem is there for the most part, and it's sad to see the division amongst people who agree for the same principles.
That's right.
But sadly, it's come to this, and we're so, divided now, more so than ever, I would say.
Oh man, it's division within even the groups that agree on things.
It's fomented by the government and propaganda and the corporations and the media. I mean, through the schools and indoctrinations, and they've passed it down. It's not something that's just happened. They've been working at it for decades, and now, in the last 10, 20 years, we're seeing the effects of what they've been doing for 60 years plus. We're going to go to the phones as we got callers on hold. We thank you for your patience. Area code 615, we're coming to you first. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hello?
That's you. How's it going?
Hello?
You're up. You're up.
Yes, hi, guys. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, hi, Doug and Joe. This is Dana. I wanted to make a comment about what Joe had made mention of last night in his show about the FEMA or the article that came out about preppers being domestic terrorists. And you really made a good point with, you tell everybody to get prepared for this storm, this hurricane that's coming, but you got to, on the other side, you're being told you're going to be labeled a domestic terrorist if you become a prepared, prepper. And the thing that really struck me about that was, I read an article, it was on Steve Quayle's alerts some time ago. Guy was talking, I don't know who it was, but he had mentioned about, at the end of the article, it talked about how, get your stuff, get prepared, get food, get water, get ammo, all these things. And I looked at my husband and I said, you know what? Common sense, and I'm a thinker kind of a person, common sense kicks into my brain and says, if there's all these people out there that's saying, get prepared, get water, get this, get that, wouldn't it not make sense that you've got a big target on you if you're going out and doing all of that? And then it came about that it was just recently that he, started putting this thing out that preppers are domestic terrorists. I was like, see, that gave me a red flag. We do need to do it. I'm not saying we don't need to do it, but I get a little cautious. It's almost like, let's tell them to get prepared, so then we can come along and put a big red target on them, and we can go get them, so then they don't have anything to help anybody else with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I just thought, wait a minute. And it so made sense when you said that last night. Go out and get prepared, everybody, because there's a major storm coming, because you're going to need to, and then we're going to come after you. We're going to come get you. We have a friend locally that we order co-op from in our area. And this whole order comes in by semi once a month, and it's in her name. And my husband said, she's got to be on the bleepity-bleep radar, because all these orders for mass stuff, 50-pound, 100-pound bags of food and stuff are coming in every month with her name on it. And I thought, you're right. I bet she's probably, on their radar. But it just kind of gives me a caution in my spirit of, we do need to prepare, but be cautious. We don't need to be out there telling everybody,
right.
I got so much ammo. Yeah, I got so much. You know what I'm saying? It just...
Yeah, no.
Then now they're putting this big red target on all of us that are prepping.
And then think about the other side of this, though. What if they're doing that to discourage you from preparing, saying,
it's not working.
Right.
No, exactly.
But it's the same way with the NDAA, how they can say they can indefinitely detain you for, being associated with Al-Qaeda or their associated forces. At the same time, they're
Al-Qaeda. I mean,
at the same time, they're the ones funding terrorists. Funding the Al-Qaeda machine. So it's just a big oxymoron. But I understand the concern, and I guess it is a justifiable concern. But they're targeting the preppers.
Let me ask you a question, though. Let me put a question out here. I'm going to interrupt because what is... You go to Walmart, you pay cash for a bunch of water, a bunch of food. Who's going to know?
Right.
Well, it depends. Walmart has tracking
systems. What, they stick an RFID chip on your water?
They have it in the... They have them in the labels. They have them in the tags. They have them...
But you look at a bottle of... I'm talking about water and food.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that if every can has, everything in the store has these tags on them. But yeah.
Well, I guess you got a point. You've got a point. It does depend. It really does. I mean, people who are on food stamps, obviously, that's tracked. Everything they buy, that's tracked. There was a report recently a friend of mine told me about where Walmart is putting chips in the shoes, in children's shoes. And I thought, that's God right there, because I boycotted buying Walmart shoes for 5 boys that I have because they'd fall apart in 2 weeks. So I boycotted buying them earlier this year. I don't know how long they've been doing it. I don't know if there's any validity to it. It wouldn't surprise me if they were. You know
something, by doing that, you just put an entire village out of business over in Bangladesh.
Sorry. You know what? Sorry. We need jobs in the United States of America. Oh, well. But, people have to think about it. But you make a good point. You really do. They don't. They don't. I know that I have friends that are, unfortunately, their incomes are so poverty-stricken, they're on food stamps, and they're using their food stamps to help them stockpile food. They're going to places to buy bulk items like Sam's and every little bit they can each month, and still keep food on the table for here and now purposes,
Yeah. And I think...
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing about the preppers is there are preppers that, dedicate their life to hoarding things, and then there are people who get prepared in a more sensible manner, not spending all their money on food. But the real problem I see is if there is an economic collapse, I would worry about people who are self-sustainable in general. Not even preppers. It could be farmers. It could be anybody who can survive without the government's help. Those people are going to be targeted regardless. And that's the biggest issue I see with being prepared. But at the same time, you have to be prepared. You have to be self-sustainable, or you're going to be dependent on the government, and you definitely don't want that. I would,
No. I agree. And I'm in an area in Tennessee where we are surrounded by self-sufficient, the Amish, the Mennonites, and we're surrounded by people like that, and we do farming and gardening and canning and things of that nature. We have, where we live, we have spring water that comes into the house, gravity flow. So we don't have to worry about pumps going out or electricity. We'll still have water even if there's no electricity. We have a creek that runs by the house. It's a spring-fed creek. We can easily, and what we plan to do is buy a pump to pump water out of the creek if we ever needed to, maybe for the garden or something. So you're right. I mean, we are trying to get as self-sufficient as possible, so there is no dependency, even, hopefully someday on the electric company. We don't even want to have to, be dependent upon that. But, yeah, it just kind of occurred to me what you had said last night. I thought, yeah, that's right. They did tell everybody to get prepared. What's up with that? And the other thing I wanted to comment about was this hate speech thing that they put out about speaking against Obama on Facebook. This concerns me, and the reason this concerns me is, I mean, he probably already has crossed the line to dictatorship, but that right there in and of itself is a huge open door for dictatorship. And what concerns me about that is how incredibly bold and arrogant to do such a thing at the possibility of the end of your presidency. You know what I'm saying? Why would you make such bold, brass moves, at a re-election, when you're up for re-election kind of thing, if you weren't so confident that you were going to get re-elected?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's making some pretty stinking, stupid, but bold things he's doing in his administration in the government right now with stuff like that,
Yeah, well, I wish I could understand his mindset and what he thinks, because there's just so much that this criminal, our president, has done. I mean, you can just go down the line. Since I've been alive and paying attention, all the presidents we've had, I remember Clinton, Bush 1, Bush 2, and Obama, they're all criminals. They could all be locked up for some offenses they've committed. But the way Obama is acting, and maybe he knows something we don't know. Maybe he thinks he's going to steal the election. Maybe they've told him that, and he doesn't know otherwise. I mean, there could be so much going on. I mean, there is so much going on behind the scenes. But they could be pulling his strings, too, pulling his leg just to get him to play along, and the rug could be taken out from under him at any minute.
When you say they, are you referring to, like, the elite
day
or the Muslim Brotherhood day?
Well, when I say they, I mean the people who control the elite, the bankers.
The elite, right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I just kind of thought that do we have a pattern of, presidents like you mentioned, Clinton, Bush, and all the rest of them making such, all these executive orders that he's signing and just all this stuff. When it's what concerns me the most is I saw that movie recently. What was it? Obama's America 2016. That was a little scary. That was very scary. That wasn't even a little. That was very scary.
I have not seen that. But presidents have made executive orders. Like, I think Obama got into office and put the first thing he did was make sure Bush and his administration couldn't be criminally charged for anything they did. And I think that's one of the last things the presidents do is pretty much pardon the administrations before them, or the administration before them. So, yeah, it's a regular thing from what I've seen. Is there anything else before we let you go?
No, that was it. No, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys' time, and keep up the good work. I really, really do appreciate the information you guys get out there. Thanks a lot.
And thank you for listening. It's a great call. We'll talk to you later. Take care.
All right, you too. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, we're going to keep going on the phones here. We're going to go to Sheila. Sheila, here on the air.
Doug, I called to help you. Don't look at the videos, okay?
Which video?
Of the old people?
Yeah.
Yes, I saw that on Alex's website today. I didn't even look at it.
Okay.
I wanted to ask a question. Alex has been putting up these tweets from the threats on Romney, and now these ones about, I just lost my train of thought. The ones he had on there today of looting over the storm.
Yeah.
Do you think that's some kind of a thing to get the people started?
I'm not sure. I don't know. You're talking about them saying there won't be any looting? The mainstream media?
Oh, he put a bunch of tweets up there with all these people planning on looting during the storm, and then last week it was about killing Romney. Romney.
Yeah.
And I just look at that. Of course, I scroll a lot of that down because the filthy language is unbelievable. But I just see, antagonism there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Here's what I saw, and tell me if this is there is this concerted effort in this whole situation with Sandy. Number one, to elevate FEMA, to elevate Obama, to really put him above, to draw the stark contrast between Bush and Obama. That's politics. Okay, I understand that. But the insinuation of FEMA into this, and the downplaying of the looting. Look, looting happens after an NHL game, for crying out loud. Burning things.
Yep.
And so to say that looting is not going to take place, 3 days into this situation, I think is a naive statement. But I also think that that FEMA is being elevated to a cult-like status in this case, and that's deliberate. So maybe my thoughts were a little bit random there, and I apologize, but I wanted to get those two thoughts.
No.
But okay, Sheila, it's the downplaying of the looting factor to me is indicative of an agenda at play.
Yeah, I mean it's irresponsible. Just like storm warnings, they were warning that storm could
just deal with
impact the Carolinas, so what they say, we're going to put alerts out.
Right.
Anytime something like this happens, a natural disaster happens, you just look at history, look at Katrina, look at the looting. Right. It doesn't take too much understanding to see that there could be a chance for
you've got societal breakdown, Sheila, in this case, and you're going to have in the societal breakdown and breakdown of infrastructure, you're going to have that tendency to loot, and some people will loot for the necessities, and other people will loot for big screen TVs. Yeah,
I think they're just screwing with people's minds on purpose, to see what they can get away with, to see how they can, convince certain people to see if it works or not. They could be throwing these. It's all propaganda. It's just a matter. In that piece, talking about there's not going to be looting. Saying that there's going to be looting is irresponsible. I mean, that's just pure idiocy, in my opinion. And I don't even know how an editor would let that go.
Well, there's an agenda behind it. Go ahead, Sheila. I'm sorry.
That's okay. These tweets that he put up over the looting, these were people that planned on looting. And the filthy language is unreal. I just had to turn it off and not, I just scrolled down, didn't read any more of that, and I just thought, what's going on here between that and them threatening to kill Romney, and it's just out there, and you can just see where there's a lot of division going on.
It's purposeful. It's deliberate.
Exactly. And night before this, of course, we've had the weather station on, and one of their people on the weather station, they must have been getting complaints from people, because one of them made the comment that they weren't hyping anything, that everything that they were reporting on was the truth, that they would never deliberately try to scare a bunch of people. So I thought, wow, they must be getting calls or emails from people accusing them of doing that. But I didn't see anything wrong with what they were doing,
No, I didn't either. I didn't either, Sheila. Look, if you've got, it's like us as watchmen. If we accept that position as watchmen, if we know something as bad is coming down, or if we know the train is coming at you, and you're on the tracks, we're going to tell you to get off the tracks, and if we have to, we're going to pull you off the tracks to keep you safe. But I mean, doing anything less would be irresponsible. So I think they did the right thing in this case.
I don't know whether you caught this or not, but our Governor Christie here, he's a no-nonsense governor. And he put out to the people that live along the shore to get out or die. That's exactly what he said. You get out or you die. So one of the mayors in one of the towns down there, I don't know which one it was.
Atlantic City.
Well, the mayor overrode him and told the people they could stay.
Yeah, Atlantic City. And, there was a very public fight.
Yeah, and these people had to be rescued.
Yes.
Those people that he told to stay there ended up having to be rescued.
Exactly.
So Governor Christie, he came out this morning and he was just absolutely angry that he did that, and he had no business doing that.
The mayor.
The governor had reason to do that, you know.
I got to tell you, you look at Christie, and I got to tell you, I know the look in his eyes. That's a guy operating on very little sleep and under a lot of pressure, and just listen to the guy. That's all. Just listen to him.
He was really upset. He evidently did not anticipate the kind of damage that's been done down the shore. He didn't anticipate that. In fact, he said it, you know. And he's really upset over that.
I think when you look at the damage from his perspective, from the air, when you've got somebody guiding you, let me tell you something. It's you can look. It'd be like somebody telling you, look, your favorite restaurant was damaged by fire, and then you actually being taken to your favorite restaurant and seeing that it's just gutted. I mean, totally, destroyed. Man, nothing like seeing it.
Well, here too, some of this lays on to people that had to be rescued. I don't depend on the governor or anybody to tell me what I need to do. If I'm in a situation where I feel like I'm going to be threatened, I'm going to do something to get out of it. I ain't going to wait for somebody to come and do it for me. So the people there played some part in that. They shouldn't have been waiting for Christie or the mayor or anybody to say nothing. They know whether or not it's dangerous. You get out. So they took some responsibility in that too, and it just really ticked off Governor Christie, because he's a no-nonsense governor. He's a really good governor. They was clamoring for him to run for president, but he likes what he's doing right now. He may try it in 2016, but right now he likes being governor here, and we like him. We need him. I got a question for you.
Sure.
I got your PO box. Now I need to know, I'm going to send you a check, and I need to know, is it Homeland Security U.S., Northeast Intelligence Agency, or HAGMANN and HAGMANN, or do I leave it blank?
Well, you leave the amount blank, okay? Just sign it. Just no. You know what? I want to thank everyone who's responded to our calls, because what we're trying to do is, in a larger sense, folks, and we don't shake down anybody. We're just trying to meet our expenses and to stay on the air. And so we do have a post office box, and I want to thank the people who have sent checks in. For crying out loud, we've got some great notes here, and people wishing us well and praying for us. But I had met with our accountant when we started this ordeal with this venture, and he said, look, to keep things simple, you already have a corporation that you operate. It's HAGMANN Investigative Services. Make this a subsidiary of HAGMANN Investigative Services, and when people, like, for example, wish to help us out, it's just HAGMANN Investigative Services. That's kind of a long answer to a short question, but I thought I would give you that information because people have asked us that as well. Now, because we know the people at the bank so well, because we're always in there getting money. But and asking.
Why would you do that?
Well, yeah, but the thing is, we're always asking questions about hey, have you heard anything about the lack of money? So they know us. They know what we do. But the HAGMANN Investigative Services is the thank you, Sheila. But look. These are tough times. We understand that. This is not a pay-to-play situation here. So don't feel obligated. But we thank you for that.
Don't feel that way at all. Look, most of us, with the kind of conversations that we have, we're all nuts to a lot of people. So it's good to get on and listen to people that pretty much see and think everything the same way.
Well, yeah.
So we're not nuts. There's a lot of people out there that's nuts. So you're doing a really good service by what you're doing, and I'm sure all your listeners get a lot out of your program, And I don't know about anybody else, but I need to hear it because I know what I see and hear and what's going on around me, and I'm around children here that don't buy none of it. So it does me a world of good every night to be on the air, and I'm thinking, okay, if I'm nuts, so Joe and Doug.
Well, Sheila, God bless you. Thank you so much for your call. And I've got to respond to Sheila too, in a sense, and tell everyone this too. Not to embarrass Josh, but Josh is Joe's brother, and he was listening in. He had, in fact, he just getting into this, breaking into this alternative reality, if you will. This environment of alternative reality, he, like everyone else, okay, you're hit with this information, and you got to look at it and say, man, these guys are absolutely off their rockers. They're crazy. There's no HARP. HARP is nothing. It's just an array of antennas out there. It's nothing. And no, you can't control the weather. And this isn't happening. And no, Sheila, I understand. I understand if you are surrounded by, because my wife even looks at me and she just looks at me and she says, "Really, are you all right?" And God love her. I love her to death. But she, in fact, when Ellen Karuba was on, she said, "Finally, somebody I can relate to, on your program." And I don't say that to put her on the spot or embarrass her, but look, it's when you get into these subjects that are really that strain credulity at their face. Isn't it so hard, Sheila, to really? I mean, once you go into that, you really can't get back from that mentality. You look at everything and say, "Wait a minute, is this really true?"
Can't go back, but what you're saying is the truth. You can't go back. You'd be just faking it.
Well, exactly.
You know what I mean? I'll tell you what I did here a while back. I ordered prepared food, okay? It was after listening to one of your programs, and you were talking about being prepared and whatnot, so I got online, and I ordered food, and I ordered 9 cases of water. Now, I didn't say nothing to my kids because they don't buy none of this. I'm floating this boat by myself. When all this came, I ordered 9 cases of water, and that came the next day, and Matt comes sitting to me and he says, "Did you order water?" I said, "You ordered 6 cases of water?" And I said, "No, I ordered 9. She must have got it wrong." And he said, 9? For what? I said, "The Great Famines coming." So he brought it in, and then 2 days later the food comes, and he's like, "Mom, what are you doing?" I said, "It's food, we're going to eat it." And he says, "For what?" I said, "I told you what's coming. You ain't listening." I said, "Somebody's got to watch your back." He says, "I don't believe this." He says, "I am going to have you put away." I said, "Well, good luck trying." I got it all in my closet.
Well, that's good. And really, Sheila, is this any different? What you're doing, is this any different than what our grandparents did of my age, people of my age? Look,
my Nana had in her basement a hole under the stairs. They had set up all these shelves they built. It was just full of canned goods, stuff they canned themselves, jellies.
I'm still stuck on my Nana.
Nana and Papa, yeah. I had Nana, Papa, and Grandma and Grandpa.
Do you want your binky now, or what?
Sure.
Okay, all right. Sorry. His grandmother was great into preps, and they did it not because of anything Armageddon-like, but just to be prepared, And that's what people. You're not doing anything different than our grandparents did. That's plain and simple.
Right. I tried canning one time, tomatoes, and my husband watched me do that, and it was the first time I ever did it, and I got it, boiled the jars, everything, sterilized, everything. Anyway, I did it. And then after I got all done, it took me all day to do it, and I looked at it, and I said, "I can't do this." Which says, "Why?" I said, "I'm afraid it's poison." So I took it all out, and I put it in freezer bag, and then put it in the freezer. But I was scared to death to have, older people put them on a shelf. You know what I mean? I was afraid to do it. I was afraid I didn't do it right because you can get sick from that.
No. Okay, from what? From what though? I missed that. I think.
I tried canning tomatoes.
Oh, canning tomatoes.
Yeah, that's right, can. I'm going to boil the glass and everything and seal them all up. So you don't know how to do that stuff or you can die.
Yes,
you know, just like you feed your dog prepared food to see if it's any good.
Here, you taste this. You try this first. I get that. Sheila, God bless you. God bless you. Thank you so much for preparing, and we love it. We love it. We love your calls. We appreciate you. And
so it's at HAGMANN Investigative Services, right?
That's right. To answer your question, right, HAGMANN Investigative Services. And again, we don't shake anyone down. So.
Okay, well, that.
All right.
All right, I love you guys.
We love you too. God bless you, Sheila.
Thank you, Sheila.
All right.
All right.
Fantastic. You know, it's what we're trying to do here. Again, let's ask questions. Let's not discourage intellectual discourse. If you've got an opinion, by all means, give it to us.
Yeah, when you call, it asks you to press 1 to talk with the host, and that gives us a little indicator that you want to talk to the host, because we have 13 callers on the line, and I don't know, who wants to speak, and a lot of people do call in to listen.
Right.
And I don't have my list of phone numbers.
No, and if you can, when you come on, just be succinct with your question, and also give just give approximately where you're calling from. You don't have to, if you don't want to give your city or whatever. Just We're
going to go to area code 813. They've been holding for a long time. Thanks for your patience. 813, you're live on the air with the HAGMANN and HAGMANN Report.
Hi, how are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
This is Carol. I'm in Tampa, and I called last night, and I kind of went on a rant, but I was a little bit upset about people just not using their faith. I wanted to ask a couple of questions. Have you heard about this book by Sony? It's the interactive. You use it on the television. It's called Wonder Book, and it has an actual wand. It teaches you spells. Actually, it teaches you real spells. It's out by Sony. Have you heard anything about that?
No. Wait a minute. Dial back a minute here. Sony, and it teaches you about spells? Like magic?
Yeah. They want to involve the whole family in it. You sit in front of the television. It has something, when it starts out, you've got an open book. You can turn the pages. It has a little demon that stays on the page. And then it also has monsters coming out, serpents coming out of the book. And all of this is, it's going in your eye gate, and it's going in your children's eye gate. And you have to be careful what goes in your eye gate. And that's dangerous, because it's teaching you real spells. These are real spells. You can investigate that.
Okay, I know what you're talking. Yeah, okay. For a minute there, you had me really scared. This is the companion book to the PlayStation. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
And it's real spells. Also, I saw online about this woman in DeKalb County, Georgia. She was fighting 8 years about getting a microchip removed from her vaginal anal area. She said that her phone number shows up on billboards. Her friends are scanning her. Her coworkers are torturing her, calling her number. Apparently, it activates everything every time they scan her and call her. 8 years, she said she's been fighting. I saw this online, and she was in front of the board, I guess a board, a county board or something, and she was trying to get some help. And she said the doctors said their hands were tied. And I'm just, this is ridiculous. 8 years she's been fighting this? So how long has this been in play,
Well, wow, extraordinary, look, wow, okay. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof or some sort of, I'd like to see the medical documentation on that. No, it's not that I'm discounting anything, but, in a case like this, one would think that there would be medical documentation to substantiate some foreign object in somebody's body, and of course, if that's the case, because I remember going through this with Art Bell back in the 90s, him talking about this. Now,
without her permission. So, without her permission, so it could have been a simple GYN exam that she got, and they did this to her.
Yeah, I'd say she probably didn't give any permission for that.
No, that's crazy, and we're going to have to look into this game because.
But yeah, let's go back to this Wonder Book spells.
Yeah, they do use the TV is already putting people in a hypnotic type state, leaving them open to suggestion and other things. And with games like this, what they have done, through allowing gay marriage, through the destruction of our society and our ethics and morals, they're allowing these things that are evil. Even in the Bible, you know, it talks about the difference between astrology and astronomy and things like that. What is it? The old religion, the magic, is it Wicca?
Wiccan, yeah, the Wiccan religion.
This is what this is. Wicca. This is what these Illuminati people are into. This is
and
what
we're going to have Don Marquis on next
Doc
week.
Marquis will be on next Wednesday, and this is something we can definitely ask him.
Wow.
Very careful if your children are watching, and they also, I see they take it off. I probably can pull it up again. It might be in my history, but there was also a 15-minute video on how to do spells and call demons, and there was 20,000 views. So, you know, what somebody could have, people pray over stuff with curses on things. And so I didn't click on that site because I know better. So if you click on that site, it's already got you, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much demonic activity.
And caller, this is something that Kathleen Keating had talked about when I was on with her when we did radio every week back a number of years ago. That she would talk about this TV manipulation via the TV.
Yeah.
And
how else can you describe people calling themselves Christians who just go to church on Sundays and then, you know, go about their ordinary lives? You know, they go to work, come home, watch TV, get stuck in that. They care more about, you know, material things, and
that's right.
That's that mindset. The Christians who are not on fire for Jesus, who are not, you know, living the example.
Well, you don't even have to be on fire for Jesus, to the extent that you can. Just by your indifference says volumes.
Yeah. And spirit should reject that kind of thing anyway. If you have the love of God in your heart and you are practicing your faith, you should just cringe at stuff like that, such as the pink Ouija board they have out for little girls. It's pink, it's attractive, and it's also demonic. I've had a deal with that too, with the Ouija board. I've even talked to a skull, and it answered me. And this was in someone else's house. They had gotten to a motorcycle accident. All they found was his head.
I've had conversations like that.
Johnny, I asked it a question, it answered me.
You know, look, caller, I would never have allow a Ouija board in my home. It's just not right. I mean, you're into things that.
I can tell you the work.
Look,
those demons don't like you laughing at them. We laughed when we got with that Ouija board at first, and it did not like that. My sister and my children's dad left me for my sister. It was just a whole lot of job. And they right now today, neither one of them, they're both married, don't have a job right now today. I think those demons stayed with them. My sister says her son saw a man constantly in the house. His son saw a man constantly in his house. So I'm like this. They're generational curses that you have to break. And I learned how to break them years ago. And I broke all curses from anything I knew from my side of the family, my dad's side of the family. I had to break those curses off of my children. These things cannot be handed down. That is why there are generations in jails right now. Oh, there's uncle over there, cousin over there, daddy over there. Come on now. We had real men that were real men, and I tell you, boy, I can look through my neighborhood. I'm like, God, I'm looking through the neighborhood for a man that's going to teach the word of God in your house. Why can't you? How is a wife going to ask her husband, be quiet in church now, and ask her husband questions at home when he doesn't have any answers? If he's not studying the word of God, he has no answers.
And that's something Dr. Hegstrom spoke on, and also Steve Quayle on the show before. It is the division in the households when it comes to that. We appreciate your call.
Yes. God bless you. And yes, thank you.
And when Doc Marquis comes on, I'll do some research on this video game, and we'll ask him about it for sure, and I'm sure he'll know all about it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting what's out there, Joe. You know, it really is. I know we have callers on hold. We'll get to them, but it's just interesting to see the level of passive acceptance by people. Look, folks, I know that there's like news ad nauseum out there that we've got to get to, but
think of this. There's like the Bible talks about, and no man can serve two masters. You either love one or you hate the other. And if you are not in love with Jesus and taking up your cross, then you are in love with the other. And
exactly.
That is a eternal damnation. And we have to be aware of that. I mean, you and me, our audience, everybody. It's the spiritual preparedness we talk about. If we are not fully engulfed in our relationship with the Lord, putting Him first in everything, listening to Him, doing His will, then we are lukewarm, we are hypocritical and indifferent. And that's not a place you want to be in. It says in the Bible that it would be better that you were never born.
Well, for the people who really are deep thinkers out there, and if you believe in creation, not evolution, and you believe that you're here for a purpose, isn't it logical to sit there and ask yourself, what is my job here on Earth? Not your profession, not your what you do during the day, but what's my larger purpose here on Earth? And doesn't that bring you to that mindset of, of Christianity? And I say that, I mean serving God, doing that. Doesn't that, isn't there an automatic evolution toward, I don't want to use that word, isn't there an automatic gravitation toward that mindset that there's something more than just going to work every day, there's something more than watching TV at night, there's something more than going to the bars?
And that's lacking, from society, the drive, that motivation. It's the neutering we've went through, chemically, mentally, through the propaganda, through the TV, entertainment, through our own pride and ego. That gets in the way of a lot of what we're supposed to do on this earth. Because we want to do pleasure ourselves with earthly things or earthly lusts rather than, hold back or deprive ourselves for the Lord. Just to give you an example, fasting. Fasting, for a sustained period of time. Some people would never entertain that idea, even Christians, because why would they deprive themselves if they have food to eat and they can eat? And then there's other Christians the same way who will fast, who will, sacrifice something for the Lord. And that's what the Lord, wants to see. He wants you to lay down yourself and pick up His cross and do what He did and follow His instruction.
But I just keep coming back to that question: why aren't more? If this is what it's all about, and I know it is, then why aren't more?
Because they're
people talking
being
about
chemically attacked. They don't want to. They're comfortable in their little. You see how people watch reality TV, and the reality TV is such garbage, and their life's probably more interesting than what goes on in that reality TV. Yet these people just lunge for that, like they need it in their life, like it's the next best thing. I mean, I just see the people talking about it. Just an example, the show Jersey Shore. I couldn't stand to watch 10 minutes of it, or 2 minutes of it.
I don't even know
what that is. But people love it. They love the people in it, and they're not even. It's not even real life. It's just completely. I can't get my head around the mindset of.
I'm hooked on Bridezilla's quiet. I am a closet Bridezilla.
No,
watcher.
You like the what was that show? The mothers, Trading Mothers or whatever.
Oh, what is that? Trading Spouses or something?
I don't know what kind of warped mind made up that show. But anyway,
well, yeah, that's
people get sucked in to fake realities to escape their own. And Dr. Hagstrom touched on this, and it goes back into drug use. He said, when he talked about drug use, he said that people use drugs to escape emotions, escape feeling real life.
They drink drink for that reason too.
The TV and movies are the same thing. They affect them the same way.
But whereas drinking is, I was going to say a passive assault, or taking drugs is a passive assault on your.
I don't mean to laugh. Somebody posted in the chat room, Jersey Shore got wiped out. Yeah. Sadly, yes. If it was just pertained to that little show, I wouldn't be too upset.
But look. There is a concerted, a coordinated assault on all Christians, and it's not a laughing matter. It's not something to be trivialized. We have to address this. We have to fight.
And Carrie in chat just said it perfectly. Trying to fill a hole in your soul that only God can fill. I've heard that before. That people, you're missing something. And that something is the whole I forget how it's worded, but she said it best.
Carrie, thank you so much for your comments and for your emails. I've got to tell you that, and we everyone, I don't want to, everyone that has sent us emails, we always read. I mean, Marianne giving us information. A lot of our listeners give us information that's on the cutting edge that we look at. We attempt to investigate the best we can. And without you folks, we could not exist. And when we come back from the top of the hour break, I'm going to tell you we're going to get back on the rails here.
Yeah, we're going to get the phone calls and we're going to get some news. We're going to hit it hard the last hour here.
Yeah, indeed we are. A couple of things. We need to talk more about this executive order because I think this is indicative of the final chapter in this book, this epilogue.
Yeah. And when you made your quick jolt upstairs real quick, somebody mentioned the executive orders that presidents sign and how it relates to their presidency. Like, do they sign more executive orders towards the end of their presidency? Or why would they be signing executive orders if they're, not going to be reelected? Didn't Obama, was the first thing he did was pardon Bush?
That I don't know.
Okay, I'm pretty sure he did. But
wait a second. I do believe it's customary for every incoming president to sign like a immunity thing for the previous administration.
That's what I was saying.
I don't know if it's. I don't know the specific content of that. I'm sure some of our listeners are more in tune with that.
Yeah, and the caller was just asking. He seems pretty confident or out of his mind to keep with these executive orders so close to the election time, almost like he is either out of his mind or knows the results of the election,
Well, I'm not so sure about that. And folks, you can help us out here with this.
That's what I said.
No, I don't know.
He could be being fooled and deceived himself, being whispered in his ear he's going to be reelected no matter what and have the rug pulled out under him like that. And what's he going to do? But we're going to go to the break, ladies and gentlemen.
Oof.
Reach the end of the second hour. We'll be back after these short messages.
2 hours, folks, right? Are you with me? I mean, it's just been wow. Okay.
I don't know.
Right.
It's been fun.
No.
Yeah, we're going to get to your calls and more news on the other side. Stay with us. You're listening to the Hagmann and Hagmann Report this Thursday, October 30th, 2012. We'll be right back.
Survival of the fittest. In any and all situations, survival is your number one priority. That requires being tough and thinking smart. And the folks at Freeze Dry Guy are going to help you do just that. They have the long-range patrol ration entrees, what they call the Brick Pack. When you're in survival mode, it is absolutely the best item for your survival pack or bug-out bag. You can go farther, faster, and carry more food with the LRP cold weather ration entrees. Not only do these long-lasting, durable entrees help sustain you or your family through the harshest environment or situation, they are by far the most delicious of their kind. No contest. With a variety of tasty entrees, you can't beat the LRP Brick Packs. Let Freeze Dry Guy help you in your survival situations. Go to freezedryguy.com. That's freezedryguy.com or call 866-404-3663. That's 866-404-FOOD.
Hi, folks. Doug Hagmann here. You might know me as the co-host from the Hagmann and Hagmann Report or as a frequent guest on Coast to Coast AM with George Norbury. If you're like me, you're tired and confused over today's headlines. You just don't know where to turn for accurate, concise information about really what's going on, what's truly going on in today's society. If you don't know where to turn for accurate, well-researched, and properly vetted news, I've got a suggestion. In fact, it's a requirement. Bookmark Canada Free Press. That's CanadaFreePress.com on the internet. It's just not for Canada. It's for news across the world. Judy McLeod, founding editor, has put together a vast array of talented writers like Kelly O'Connell, Daniel Greenfield, Dr. Eilida Johnson-Powell, a lot of guest columnists, very talented writers. Folks, that's Canada Free Press at CanadaFreePress.com. Now mobile friendly. Follow on Facebook, because without America, there is no free world. Friends, let me tell you about a product I take. It's called Nootropic. It's you get it at mindregard.com. That's mindregard.com. Go to HomelandSecurityUS.com. Click on the banner on the right-hand side of our show or our page. go over to mindregard.com, look up Nootropic Mind Power. It's a great product. It's a dietary supplement. It improves healthy cognition, blood flow to the brain. You know, with all of this corrupted diets that we're being assaulted with, the GMOs and such, we're not receiving the proper nutrient support that we need. This product will enhance the nutrient absorption of nutrients. It's a great product. It provides mental acuity. It even has a calming effect on your mood, which is something I desperately need. And it does work, folks. No, mindregard.com. Tell them that Doug and Joe sent you, and you will get 10% off.
You better wake up fast and listen to this, America. The Obama campaign has launched attack squads disguised as truth teams dedicated to intimidating and silencing all political dissent carried over the internet that criticizes the Marxist Obama. Truth Squad specifically focused on covering up Obama's endless trail of lies, corruption, and subversion, and using the Gestapo power of our own government to police and censor the internet and shut down websites that dare to carry the real truth about Obama's Marxist coup. Remember the names of these Gestapo-style agencies at work right there in your neighborhood. KeepingHisWord.com, KeepingGOPHonest.com, and AttackWatch.com. KGB, SS, and Gestapo-style police-state gangster organizations at work to silence the important voices of patriot dissent, some of which have already been shut down by Obama's orders. Adolf Hitler would have been proud. We're the 21st century Tea Party patriots.
Doug Hagmann. One guy that doesn't need a bullhorn to get your attention.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the third and final hour of the Hagmann and Hagmann Report for today, October 30th, 2012. And I just want to bring Joe, welcome back to the program, and thank you for listening, each and every one of you. You're very important to us, and I have to say this. We are in search of the truth every day. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter where it leads. We're going to follow the truth in terms of current events, and we call them as we see them. And if we have the evidence to show something is a conspiracy, then let them call us conspiracy kooks or whatever. But anyway,
before you get into what you're saying,
go ahead.
We don't ever mention this, and I don't know why. If you're on Facebook and you want to follow us for show updates and stuff, we have a Hagmann and Hagmann.
Oh
page
yeah,
on
I don't
Facebook.
even follow that.
We have a Northeast Intelligence Network page, Team K9 page, Hagmann and Hagmann page.
We have to. We're like we've got an identity problem.
And we have a Team K9 also on YouTube and Twitter. Team K9, man. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and the Hagmann and Hagmann Report on Facebook. Just wanted to mention that because we never do.
No, thank you for that. I just want to open this hour just really quickly, folks. If you haven't read this, it's really an interesting. One of our listeners sent this to us. And I'm not sure if it was Marianne or Carrier, or I'm not sure who sent this to us, but whoever did, thank you. I read this last week. This is dated October 14th, 2012. It's Eagles Are Gathering by Beverly. I'm going to just say her last name, Fisher, Fisher. And just take a listen to this. I'm going to just read this really quickly, and I promise we'll move on. This afternoon I was outside in my flower beds. I looked up at the Lord's bidding. There above me in the sky were 7 eagles circling above my house. I started in wonder at the awesomeness of God. I say eagles because that was what the Lord told me they were when I asked, and I was awestruck at their majesty. I was amazed at the wing spread and at the intensity in their watchfulness. He said to me, they are waiting and watching just as you do. They wait and watch for my timing, for I have much that I am calling them to, and those who are my eagles. And folks, we're all God's eagles, are we not? For there is much change coming forth across this land and across the nations, for the enemy senses that the time is short, and even now is gathering his forces for the end-time battle. He is worried for his position, and even though I have already won the battle through my son, who died for all of you on the cross to pay for your sins, he still ignores that fact, and lives in his dream world, thinking that he will win in the end. I have given this nation a year of grace, but don't jump to conclusions to think that then the end will come. For all is in my timing, and no man will know when I come. For now, I have heard the cries of my people and seen their tears. I have come to their rescue once again. But I say to you, do not let up with your prayers and tears for this nation. For this nation is in sore need of rescue and much more. For the days ahead, we'll need many to be on their knees and faces before me. The days ahead will carry many challenges, and much will be yours for those who fight for me. For I hold much in the palm of my hands, even now, waiting for the right time to strike, once again, on the head of the enemy. He knows neither what I have planned, nor what I have waiting for him. There is much to be done, and many who are changing positions even now, and many who will continue to change positions in the days ahead, and in the next year, as I call forth, who I have in hiding, those who have been waiting patiently, and many who thought that I had forgotten them. I don't forget. I do not forget those who I have called. I do not forget those who carry my mark, nor do I forget those who have gone through much for my cause. There are even many who do not know me yet, who will be called to the forefront of battle, even though they may be battle-weary from their own challenges they have been dealing with. They do not know, nor realize, that they too have been in training, for I use them also, despite their youthfulness in me. And when you think about it, ladies and gentlemen, are we not are we not battle weary? Are we not weary from our own challenges? I believe we are.
Yeah.
And wait a minute, let me just finish this. For they will be battle wise, and will carry my mark, and for even many of them have been hidden for such a time as this. And haven't we been telling you about this for such a time as this? And they will have the boldness and courage that will be needed at this time and in the days ahead. Just briefly here, let me finish this. Much is heating up in the earthly realm, and there have been many who have been resting too, waiting for me. But there are also many who have been wrestling me. Some knowingly. Boy, do I fit this. But many others unknowingly, when they thought that they were fighting the enemy. Now think about that, folks. I'm going to say that again. Much is heating up in the earthly realm, and there are many who have been resting too, waiting for me. But there are also many who have been wrestling me, some knowingly, but many others unknowingly, when they thought they were actually fighting the enemy. For there is a lot of stubbornness, rebellion, and pride in man that continues to get in the way of my purposes. There is much that man has to repent of, if this nation, if this people and other nations want to stand at my side in the end battle. Folks, I'm going to post that link up in the chat room.
Yeah, I wanted to mention this. Greg Evenson said he did his last show last night, and I got to listen to about almost an hour of the broadcast, and it was a powerful broadcast, but he said he was worn out, very just worn out, and October 29th on the Heartland Radio, I think, is his website. Let me pull it up here. But,
the Heartland USA.
Heartland USA. And thanks, Angie, for posting that and mentioning that in chat. I wanted to say that at the beginning of the show. We're going to have to reach out to him and talk to him and see how he's doing, and we will keep you guys updated as the information we get comes in. A story I wanted to hit on here, then we'll go back to the phone. Ship with 700 tons of gold ore disappears off Russia.
Who'd have figured that, right?
Yeah. A vessel with 9-person crew and 700 tons of gold ore on board has disappeared in the stormy seas off Russian Pacific coast. The ship sent a distress call on Sunday as it was sailing from the coastal town of Nerena to Fesklov Island in the seas of the Oskatoshk. The vessel was hired by mining company Polymetal and was carrying 700 tons of gold ore from one depot to another where it was to be processed. Gold ore is the material of which gold is extracted and contains only a small percentage of the precious metal. The spokesman on Monday said he would not estimate the value of the cargo. The company said it has shipped via that route before, and nothing was unusual in the shipping by shipping it by sea. So there you go. 700 tons of gold ore disappears off Russia on a ship. We don't know how much gold how many tons of gold that would actually be, but
unrefined gold ore. I don't know, but it's significant nonetheless.
And I saw an article today, and I don't know. This is getting way off track.
Oh, great! That's just what we need after a show like herd cats here.
You remember the plane accident with the Polish president?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see the story?
Yes, I did. Thank you for sending me that link.
There's a long train of events that happened from this. There was the Polish president crash in a plane. If you got the article, I can't find it. I don't have it.
I've got it here.
Polish president died in a plane crash in 2010. There's video of it on YouTube where you can see people running to the crash site and shooting people who are still alive.
Yeah.
They denied reports that the Russians were involved, and then there was a Russian guy who was given a press conference on the issue maybe 8 months ago, and he was talking to the media. He said he needed to take a break. He went in the back room and shot himself in the head. He lived. That's also on YouTube.
Right.
Now it has come out that, what does it say in there? Explosives were found
on the plane. This was the Polish president and the delegation of Poland that went down. And ladies and gentlemen, you probably can find this on. I'm searching right now for the link because I've got I've got 10,106 emails I haven't.
A lot of people don't know about this story, and this is something I've been following since it happened. It's definitely weird, but we're going to have to do an article on it. But I just wanted to mention that because I've been waiting for something to come out on this for proof. But you can go YouTube the Polish president's plane crash, and you can see gunshot. You can see people shooting people who were left alive from the crash.
But one thing that I've been trying to track: who took that video?
Apparently, it was some farmer, and they ended up being killed like a week later.
Okay, and how did that video get out? I guess
that's since 2010, and I was researching it then, and I haven't really done a lot of research since. So I'm going to have to dig into this, and maybe tomorrow we can do a report on it.
Look, I think this is significantly important because it does show the Russian complicity in various global
There's
issues.
something behind this that had to do with the Arab Spring and or something about the money manipulation. I'm not sure which one it is, but I will do some digging back into the things I have saved on my other computer because I do have the old original articles and videos.
And I want to, before we get to the phones, I want to say thank you to Maggie and Bob. They sent me the link to the Alex Jones interview of a meteorologist who was saying that the meteorologist Sandy is manufactured. And to those people who are just searching for the truth, look, I don't know the bona fides of this meteorologist. I don't know if all I know
what we know is there are patents for weather modification. There are things for weather wars. There are treaties. There are documents, patents. There are. We have HAARP.
Yes, we do.
Which admittedly it heats up the ionosphere, and what total effects that can have, whether it be earthquakes or how they can modify storms, if any, are yet to be known to me, at least. But there is a relationship there.
One would look
from what I've seen.
would think, right? I mean, without getting into the really way out there stuff. I mean, if there are patents, which there are, if there is talk about weather modification and models of the same, and there is evidence beyond the anecdotal tongue-in-cheek stuff that often we see out there, then I think it needs to be disclosed. And I'm of the opinion, look, couldn't the hurricanes like Sandy be like an accident, we'll say? At the very least, what if they did something and Sandy was, or any storm or any event, it was just an accidental artifact of something? I mean, it doesn't have to be a grand conspiracy.
No. I mean, just here for the New York Times, this is a headline of an article from the 29th. Still at sea, storm drenches East Coast. Hurricane Sandy, a storm that weather historians say is on a scale with little precedent. and then they use the hybrid storm.
But don't forget,
the
precedent, though, has only been, we really only have had the electronic surveillance of weather for how many years? It hasn't been that long in the grand scheme of things.
No, but still, the words they use, storm on steroids,
sure.
It's like little buzz hint words to let people know almost without letting them know.
Right. Okay.
But let's go to the calls. Yeah. We have had people on hold for a while. We thank you for your patience. We're going to go to area code 231. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
That's me, 231. Carol?
Hi, Carol.
Beulah? Hi, how are you two?
Good. Where are you from again?
Beulah.
Beulah.
I'm in Michigan.
Oh, Michigan. All right. There we go. I was
right off Crystal Lake?
Sure. I know that area.
And then Frankfurt, the harbor there.
That's right.
That's just next door. And I was calling this because I'd fallen away from God, and I went through a difficult time with losing my parents and difficult stages with my family, doing things real hard on me, being stuck with doing everything. And then I was very angry, and I think I just took it out on the wrong person, which is the Lord, who has, even though he has the biggest of shoulders, you still should just let him help you, not fight him on it. And I learned that's what I needed to do all along, just surrender, and he'll make it better.
I read that that little piece from about the Eagles, and I really think that would apply to you. It's I've been through tough situations, losing family and being put in positions.
My mom and dad, short and like bing bing.
Was it? Did they die? Did they pass together, or was it just close?
No, they died 2 years apart, but it was like my mom was in my home. I was able to take her, and she wasn't getting good care at nursing homes. She had become a diabetic after a failed heart surgery, and she became an instant diabetic. But so she was getting all these infections and things. So I had to learn very quickly about diabetes and how to give shots and how to feed her and how to dress her and
Man, that's
things
tough.
you take for granted. And she's dead weight. She can't help me. She had a stroke because of what they had done to her. So, but even then, she still had her beautiful smiles, and she was still happy to be alive, and still knew that she had her daughter. That made me feel good. My mommy always knew. And that's what daughters love to hear. Their mommies. They call them mom. Say Carol.
I have to look. I have to say this. I lost my mom 34 years ago this past week, and I still miss her. You miss people. But I would say that you probably were a fantastic daughter, and the support that you gave to your mom, both of actual and other support, you can't. Thank you, and I'm sure your mom is.
She died. I was holding her when she died. My dad had Alzheimer's, and he was there, but he didn't really connect, and that was really hard on me. It's my daddy, and that's his wife, and I didn't. I had a hard time handling that. But what I called about was this thing about the kids in Black Magic.
Yes.
There's a show called True Blood. It's about vampires.
Yeah.
This year they went, and their big theme was for this year was the vampires were going to find their god, the vampire god. And he turns out it's a demon woman. She's always covered in blood, naked, and she bites people. And but her name is Lilith.
Sounds like a former date I had.
Like from the Bible, Lilith. And she always comes, and in Arab tradition, it's Lilith the night hag. She's the one that steals children, the babies. She's a demon. They're making this. They're worshiping her, and calling her the true God, and man's God is nothing.
And this is on television? I mean...
Yeah, and I see this.
Yes, I just got over on HBO.
I see people who go to church, who do, watching shows like this all the time. All the time.
How do you balance that? I don't get that.
My husband is into God, so he, more into that.
Wow.
But when I watched a few with him, and I was trying to figure out why all this people are attracted to this vampires and werewolves and zombies, and then in the background they say it's old religion.
Isn't that now? That's important to understand. Yes. Isn't that what I think what you said there? What is the attraction to programs like this? And I think there's something inherent in the programming itself, and then the mindset of the people who watch it. So there's a convergence of things. It's kind of like the perfect storm in the psyche of the people.
Yeah, and we have all these shows. The Revolution.
You want to feel this power, like with the bloodletting, or you want to look eternally beautiful and have all the strength.
I mean, I don't know.
And there's no repercussions for it.
With all the
no earthly repercussions, but go ahead.
I was listening to a Steve Quayle episode today. I heard him on some video I was watching, and he talked about how abortion is, their blood sacrifice to Lucifer. And
that's true.
Yeah, and this is how these people work. They are so sick, so twisted. It's not good enough just for them to be evil. They want to brainwash other people into being evil without even knowing it. That's the deception.
And I agree with that. But if you say that, like in a normal conversation, people would look at you like you're crazy. What are you talking about? It's just about women's rights, women's reproductive rights. We own their, they own their bodies, that type of thing. But caller, go ahead.
We aren't cold-blooded. We aren't cold-blooded.
Yes.
My mother-in-law wanted me to abort my second child because they were 11 months apart, and I said, and I'm Catholic and she's Protestant, and I told her, my mom didn't abort me. I'm not aborting you. Her, for you.
Wow.
I'm not giving up my baby for you. This is my baby.
Well,
I have to love her. I have to give her a life. And it's the best I can give her.
Well, that sounds awful.
I got a sore tooth and I got something trying to numb it.
That's awful. I'm glad you stuck by your guns and did what was right.
I have a beautiful daughter. She's in her 30s.
Yeah,
well.
But, I wish she knew Jesus, but that's the thing we have to fight her every day on.
Well, caller, you mentioned you kind of fell away. What
happened? I got really angry because of what happened to me when I was in Catholic school.
Okay, and
treat me bad.
Mm-hmm. We all have memories. I went to a Catholic school back when they, the principal carried I remember this, a 4-inch wide leather strap on her belt, and she was about 4'6", and she came in like a tornado into the class. There were actually folding doors in this school I went to, and she would.
Was it Our Lady of La Salette?
No.
That's where I went.
Okay.
We had a petite nun, Sister Mary Benedictine.
Well, Sister Anna Maria, I remember her, and she would come in. She was about 100 years old. She'd come in, and man, I'll tell you what, if you weren't sitting up straight, if you didn't have your hands folded on the desk, that leather belt came out, and bada bing, you were, every time those doors swung open.
Rulers.
Oh yes, rulers. But that leather strap was something very special. But I digress. Caller, you've been very, very kind, and I just look. You can't, and you know this. We can't. We have to maintain a relationship with God. Yeah.
God. See, I'm working it out, but all these things you see and hear, when you are going, it seems like when you're struggling to reunite yourself.
Well, yeah.
That's when,
of course.
That's when all the creeps come out of the square. What do you call it? Creeps come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, alcoholics say, when they get out of rehab and get clean, and the first people they see are old friends that want to take them to a bar. It's the closer you get to the Lord, the more you will be attacked, the more temptation will be thrown your way, and that is the tests that are put in front of us.
Yeah.
Well, I live with an atheist. He's an atheist. It's hard.
Well, I think. Wow.
All I can do is pray for him and pray for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to stay strong.
God has given you a pretty rough road there. You've got to. You've got a lot of work to do, I guess. Just don't give up. Yeah. Don't lose the faith.
No, I know Jesus, and most people think that Catholics worship Mary. Just so you know, I don't follow I believe I'm a born again Christian, but I do believe that the Mother Mary. We don't need to pray to her, but I do believe when we make a mistake, her as a mother, she probably watches that, and if she has any input to Jesus at all, it'd be as a mother talking to a son about your sister. I would think that's the only thing. I don't think you should pray to her.
Well, yeah, I don't think anyone should be deified above God or Jesus.
No.
I think that's
she never asked to be.
Right. But you cannot just discard the familiar or the motherly relationship there. That to discard that would be as foolish as praying to her.
Yeah. You want to have that. That's the only thing Catholics should strive for, is to be a perfect mother who loved her son to the point and kept him pure. And then when he had his service to God, she didn't stop it. She didn't interfere. She had quite a hard road.
Can you imagine?
She watched her lovingest baby, the only baby boy she had named Yeshua, murdered on that cross.
And can you imagine watching that and being there and so I mean
watching the hurtful things they said to him?
That would be wow.
It's tons on it.
Caller, thank you very much. I want to say God bless you. Hang in there, keep the faith, and thanks for listening, by the way, and being part of our show.
And I'll send you a little something.
Oh, look, just.
No, we got to help each other. We got to work on our faith.
Well, indeed we do.
I always am very encouraged when I listen to the two of you.
Well, thank you
so much.
And anything we can do to help, let us know. God bless you. Thank you.
And then say a prayer for me.
We'll do. We'll do. You'll be in our prayer.
All righty.
You got a lot of prayers. The audience will be praying for you too. God bless you.
And that's it. We need to stick together, Joe. We're all leaders, and kind of like that. And I just go back to that beautiful writing of Beverly Fisher. That we're all. Folks, just go ahead and look at that. I'm going to post that in the chat room again. And if you're listening to this on via archives, it's just do a search on Beverly Fisher, FIS or FICH. I'm okay.
Moving on here, we're going to go to the phones.
Beverly Fisher, FISCHER. Eagles are gathering.
All right, we're going to go to Vernon. He's been on hold for a while. Thanks for your patience. Vernon.
Hey, God bless. How's everyone doing this evening?
Excellent.
I got my tongue wrapped around my legs here. Seriously, I can't. It's just been an incredible day, but it's been an even more incredible show. But Vernon, great to talk to you.
Same here, Drummond. Same here. I was listening at first to your guest that you had online, who I was going to respond to, but I've been hearing a few things since I've been holding on. And then you also spoke about executive orders. The first thing I have to say is this. A lot of the Christians, I'm going to say Christians and not believers at this point in time, have a misconcept of what it means to be a Christian.
Yeah.
What it means to be in the body of Christ. Joe, I heard you say, folks go to church and they come out holier than thou, but they go right back into the programs from whence they came. They do church once a week, and that's on Sunday.
Yeah, that's right.
But Christianity, the believers in the body of Christ, is a daily walk, a daily relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ.
Amen.
The scripture says that it's not by works nor by might. It's not about a religion. It's not about a building. It's not being able to sing the best song in the choir or preach the best sermon out of the pulpit. If you do not know the Lord Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, then you need to get on your knees and ask for forgiveness for our sins. A lot of us are walking around so holy, and it's not about that. It's about your personal relationship with Jesus Christ. What are you going to hear on Judgment Day? Well done, thy good and faithful servant, or depart from me, you doers of iniquity. So this is what we need to be looking, just be searching the Lord Jesus Christ for. On that, you mentioned executive orders, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if this is the one you're talking about, but executive order establishing the White House Homeland Security Partnership Council.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier this week, or yesterday, I think we did. We mentioned that, yeah. And
we've been referencing it since it came out.
One of the callers asked, that Obama, that they were wondering if it was odd for presidents to be issuing this many executive orders so close to the possible end of their term.
No, I don't. I'm looking, just doing a quick
election.
search. I don't see anything odd about the timing of this relative to historical precedent. That by itself.
Right.
Okay. Now that said, there's a lot odd about the incorporation between federal and business efforts in this so-called war on terror.
Mm-hmm.
That's odd. That's not right. This collaboration is between the federal government and selected partners in the private sector is not exactly with precedent. So we need to take a look at what this is. What's he trying to do here? This is this is number 141. He has. This is his 141st executive order to date. What's he trying to do here?
Right.
That's what we have to look.
Let's look at it this way too, Doug. The executive orders is not just coming from Obama. As we have talked many times, Obama's not in control of the White House. He's just a puppet. Okay? So what we have to do is look at all the executive orders that are being passed down. Now, what concerns me is the type of executive orders that are being passed down, like from March the 16th, taking over the entire infrastructure. And this executive order here of October the 26th, it seems as though it goes hand in hand with the executive order of March 16th. They're taking full control of our very structure. Okay, everything that is taking place right now, we have the FEMA camps and the whole 9 yards. I don't have to go through the list.
Right.
And everything is just seems like one item is just reinforcing the other, hand over hand, and to the point where we are going to be in total totalitarian society, completely straight across the board. And that's the way I'm looking at it.
And I think that's a proper way to look at it. If you just dissect this particular executive order, what is being done here? They're establishing this steering committee. They're taking entities that already exist and absorbing them into this federal agenda of control and steering committee. What does it do? It steers. It puts forth the agenda, and this is a dangerous area because this is exactly, and people are going to just throw stuff at me, but this is exactly what Hitler did in, and I said Hitler and Nazism.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
But
right on the target.
But see, as soon and Vernon, you know this from your position as a show host as well. As soon as you mention that, boy, people just shut down.
Well, they shut down because they're in denial. They're in disbelief. They don't want to believe that this is taking place. But the same thing happened during the Nazi era. Exactly. What happened, we had the students of that day coming back and telling the elders who were basically in business control at that time, and say, oh, you got to take a look at these laws this man is passing. You got to look at what this man is doing. He is going to annihilate us. He is going to destroy us. And they were snubbed off. They were shoved away. And what happened? You had Auschwitz that took place. And the same identical thing is happening today. They're passing law after presidential executive order, heading in the same direction. And we as believers, knowing what the prophecies are saying, that there will be a one world government, one world church, one world economic system, which we all agree we're heading towards, and it's all going to be headed up by what? One entity, the Antichrist, and everything that we're looking at now is formulating and gearing us and shoving us in that direction. So you're 100% right. This is Nazism at its best, but people don't want to hear it. Reason being, they're in denial. As you said earlier in the show, we have been dumbed down by the blue tube, the glue tube, or as my pastor used to call it, the one-eyed demon.
That's a good, I like that. I haven't heard that before. You know, but Vernon, to give you an example of how long this has been in play, it's been a long time. Don Frederick has written a book called The Obama Timeline, and in fact, there is a YouTube about this. But just consider this, Vernon, and folks. Really quick here. Obama just happened to know the 1960s far-left radical revolutionary William Ayers, whose father just happened to be Thomas Ayers, who just happened to be a close friend of Obama's communist mentor, Frank Marshall Davis, who just happened to work at the communist sympathizing Chicago Defender with Vernon Jarrett, who just happened to later become the father-in-law of Iranian-born leftist Valerie Jarrett, who Obama just happened to choose as his closest White House advisor, who just happened to have been the CEO of Habitat Company, which just happened to manage public housing in Chicago, which just happened to get millions of dollars from the Illinois state legislature, and which just happened to not properly maintain the housing, and so on and so forth. I can go on pages upon pages upon pages of just happens to be.
Oh, it's just a coincidence.
Sure, sure. About 10 minutes worth of verbal. I could go on for 10 minutes about the coincidences.
Right.
No, it's not. It's not.
Same thing about all the deaths that have surrounded Obama's tenure. From Breitbart, his grandmother, the mortician, what do you call the people that do the autopsy?
I got you.
The coroner,
right?
Right on. Oh, it's just a coincidence that these things are happening, But again, it's people above Obama that's actually pushing the buttons. He's the puppet.
Exactly.
Playing out the puppet master's program. And now we have a problem because, and this has been suggested from two different camps, Lindsey Williams' camp at first, which I don't put real stock in it, but I forget who it was that actually confirmed some of it, where the elitists are battling amongst themselves now, where the supporters of Obama on one hand and the supporters on Romney on the other hand are one and the same people, but they're split right now because Obama has been playing favor to Saudi Arabia. He has left the fold, so to speak, and so now they're doing some things where in the works that they're saying Obama's not going to be the president of the United States, that Romney is. Maybe that's where all the threats are coming from. It's just so much that's taking place. But we as believers, we can't get caught up in all this as much as we're not to take our eyes off of what Christ is saying. Okay? He said, when you see these things begin to happen, then look up, for your redemption draweth nigh, or near. So I'm not really worried about what's happening in the politics of it, in the sense that I'm going to be here. But what about those that I leave behind, that I love?
Isn't that look, regardless of your belief system about doctrinal issues, regardless of that, isn't that what it's all about in the end, Vernon? The fact that we've got to keep watch as watchmen, and we've got to be prepared, and we've got to think about others in our absence, whether it's through death or through some other means, natural or divine. We've got to think about others.
And that's what it's all about, because we was instructed by the Lord Jesus Christ to love one another. and that goes from my family, that goes to my friends, that goes to associates, someone who I just laid eyes on for the first time. My concern is what Christ would have me to be concerned with, your eternal soul. Where are you going to spend eternity?
Exactly.
And that's my mission. If no one but one person accepted the Lord Jesus Christ, and I was the vessel that was used to bring one soul into the kingdom of God, then I have lived my life. And that's the way I look at it. Everything else is just a plus.
Exactly.
But if one soul accept the Lord Jesus Christ, then I would be happy.
You know, Vernon, one thing that I've learned since doing this show, and especially of late, there are a lot of people out there who are looking for companionship, and I don't mean, I'm talking about spiritual companionship. I'm looking for friends, shall I say, or looking for that camaraderie, and they're finding it through us, and I'm thankful of that, and through shows like yours. But I think that's what we need right now. We need to know. We need to be together as much change comes forward, and we need to get all of our houses in order, don't we?
Right.
I mean,
well, Doug, when you say it that way, we are what? The body of Christ?
Indeed, we are.
We are a family in Christ. You're my brother in Christ, and we're on one accord.
That's right. That's right. We're brothers.
We are a collective. I hate to say it that way because of the TV show, but we are a collective in the body of the Lord Jesus Christ, a one mindset.
Yeah, and we have to keep that unity under the Lord Jesus Christ, keeping His laws, His commandments, not the laws of man, not the laws of governments, not the laws that we want to follow or we make up, only His laws.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Amen.
Well, Vernon, as always, my gosh, what a great... go ahead, Vernon.
No, I just wanted to go back to your caller, though, real quick, because he was talking about HAARP as if, because he was denouncing HAARP, and I'm not putting them down, what have you, because if you don't know, you don't know. I don't know about HAARP like I should know about HAARP, but when you start to see evidence of it, like I'm going to put a link into the room real quick where this lady did a video, and she was showing on radar where there was some HAARP signatures associated with the storm Sandy.
Yeah, Vernon, I saw your YouTube. I watched your video you made.
Okay.
That was a good video.
And did you follow up with the this other video, the young lady's video?
No,
there?
I will. No, is that what you just posted? Because I'll bookmark that and check it out.
Yeah, I just posted. She did a very comprehensive and very interesting video showing the radar anomalies, so to speak, associated with Sandy. And it's very intriguing to me. Like I said, now I do know that HAARP exists. Like you said, Joe, we do have evidence that HAARP not only exists, but it's Tesla technology. And we had a gentleman that brought up the patents, that told a story. He brought up the patents, and here came the Navy. You know, they virtually stole the technology from him for weatherization. And there's been story, account after account thereafter, for using it as what? A weapon. You know, weaponizing the weatherization. You know, so there is something to this HAARP weaponizing HAARP as the as one of the weapons, I should say. I'm a little incoherent at the moment when I say it that way, but there is something to it, and for someone to just blatantly outright deny its existence is rather. And I don't want to say the word I want to say.
No,
you know where I'm coming from on that.
Yeah, and Vernon, I'll tell you something. It's if you would have caught me 5 years ago and saying, "Well, HAARP, Look, I could have accepted back then that weather is a force multiplier in any battle. And if we look at what's going on, we're constantly in battle. But if somebody would have said to me, 5 years ago, HARP exists and there's weather modification, I would have said, you know what, I don't believe that. But
you used to say that when we talk about it.
But if you gradually and systematically, and if you've got to have this intellectual honesty and an open mind, you have to look at things and say, okay, you
got to do the research.
Yeah,
exactly.
Have an open mind when you do it.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not pushing, HARP is real. I'm just saying that, hey, here's the evidence. And like you said earlier, Joe, they had taken soil samples, where, like you said, was a combination of barium salts along with aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a combination. There was one town, and I wish I had bookmarked it, but there was one small town somewhere in the Midwest where it was a small community, and everybody was healthy until they started doing a chemtrail spraying. And within a short period of time, everyone in that town now has cancer. And I wish I had bookmarked that one.
Wow.
But everyone in that town now has cancer. And that's where the sample, one of the original samples came from.
But Vernon, and I've got to go back to this as well. If you talk to people on the street and say, well, the government, whatever department of the government, they're actually engaged in cloud seeding. They can accept that. But then if you take that another step and, well, they're actually engaged in spraying aluminum and barium in the upper atmosphere.
Oh, you're crazy.
Yeah, you're crazy. But if you think about it, and that's the thing, if you really kind of just look at it with intellectual honesty, and kind of follow the dots, start connecting the dots. Of course, it's not only possible, there's documentation out there. So I don't know, and we're not afraid to approach any subject on this show. So that's because if it's possible, if we just want the truth. That's all.
Yeah, well, I don't think we'll ever come to the full knowledge of everything that's going on. Again, Doug, because if you go into Ephesians, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities and the darkness and the rulers of this world in what? High places. Satan and his forces, who can, create anything, illusion, to make it look real and it be real. We're fighting an enemy that's out to destroy mankind. And a third part of the earth will be destroyed once the rapture takes place?
Well, a third part of the earth, indeed. That's what it said. That's what the Bible says. That's correct.
Okay. So apparently somebody's going to accomplish something somewhere along the line, be it HARP or what's the other one, Joe, where it's supposed to be, what they call that, Blue Beam Project?
Yeah, CERN.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the Hadron Collider.
Yeah, the Collider, right, that's another one. They have so much technology out there. Where did they get the technology from? Satan, directly?
That's a good question. Where does that technology come from?
Well, if we read in Genesis or in the Old Testament, we read how in the book of Enoch, I know it's not in the Bible, and I've read it though, but the fallen angels gave man all this technology before the flood, and
right.
So yeah,
and as it were in the days of Noah.
Yeah.
Amen. We're not there right now.
No, Vernon, and to the people listening to this broadcast, Vernon, let me ask you a question. That topic we were just talking about, the technology, and the fact that it exists. Let's stipulate for a moment that technology exists. The big any technology, the advanced weaponry, for example, or that if a member of the intelligence community sat you down, Vernon, and said, you know something, you've got no idea what exists out there right now. And not only don't you have an idea what exists, but you have no idea where it came from. Now, if this is a person that you trusted and you knew has been accurate in every step of the way, would that make a difference in your mental processing of information, wouldn't that be like, holy cow, are you serious? I mean, it would hit you like a ton of bricks. I would suspect.
It would hit me as a ton of bricks that they would admit it.
Okay. Yes.
All right. Not so much if they understood themselves. Keep in mind, they think they have the United States government in particular, and at least as far as what is being presented to us. Okay, they think they have made contact with ET phone home. One of the creatures from the fifth moon of Alpha Centauri, when indeed they have made contact with demonic spirits.
Exactly.
Those they called them back in Sumerian times, the Anunnaki. Those were fallen angels. And this is what everybody's looking for to come back. They're waiting for Nibiru and the fallen angels. Well, they didn't call them fallen angels. They were gods.
That's correct. But if you have a God-fearing member of the intelligence community that has information, whether it fell in his lap or whether he was able to gravitate up to that level, and have him say, look, this is the mindset, like you just mentioned about the fallen angels. And yes, things did exist according to at least according to the government workings inside the intelligence community. Yes, they recognize this power. Yes, they recognize they're attempting to harness this power. It's really a mental. To me, it's like a holy cow factor. I mean, are you serious? This is actually going on. Right. It doesn't matter what people believe. It matters what is actually taking place.
Right. My question to them is, they are God-fearing man that's in that intelligence community. My first question would be is, they allowed you to live?
That's a great question. Think about this, though. Sometimes people don't know exactly what you know. Okay, it's not exactly as black and white as people think it is out there.
Yeah.
It's not as black and white in terms of what they're doing with the information. It is black and white when we talk about the spirituality of it.
Oh yeah.
Either we are in the body of Christ, or we're subject to the Luciferians that are out here. And this is one mindset. Keep in mind, when the rapture does take place, regardless of when you believe that it'll take place, when it does take place, instantaneously, worldwide, millions of people will disappear from the earth. Millions. A mother's walking down the street with her newborn baby in her hand, and her baby is snatched. The baby is taken, and she's left behind. And people are going to freak out. They're going to panic. They're going to have fear. They're going to be angry. All the emotions that you could possibly name. And we're going to have one man to step out the aisle and say, hold it. I got the answer. Our friends, the UFOs, have taken your family. They'll be returned to you. Imagine that being the story, that being the case, when indeed this lie is being set up right now before our very eyes. And it's going to be Luciferian. It's all demons. It's all behind Satan. And they gave man all the way back in Hitler day. Hitler was adamant about technology from other worlds.
Vernon, I got to say, and to the people listening to this broadcast, I've got to say, do research on Hitler, on the whole Nazi operation. Not internet research necessarily, but go out and look at books in the library. Look at the documentation about that. Look at what their hidden agenda was, and their hidden
Look at the people.
Look at the occult
their friends.
factor.
I mean, you had the Henry Ford. You had the George Bush's grandfather. All these people.
Prescott Bush.
Exactly.
Yeah, Prescott Bush. Operation Paperclip, where they brought back 40-some thousand of these Nazi scientists, medical people, and other people that had these technologies.
Just do the research. Yeah, exactly. Do the research and look at history from back then.
And look at the Bible. It ties into the book of Daniel and how the systems of the beasts, the kingdoms will, become just continue to accumulate until they're worse and worse and worse, until the last kingdom is like no other, not like the other three kingdoms. Kind of like what we see now with all the technology and
Right on.
You know.
Okay.
Well, God bless you, my friend. Thank you for
everything,
for calling in and for keeping us on point. It's interesting.
Thank you for having me, Doug and Joe, and for all those that are still in the wake of Sandy. You know, we are praying for you, and you know, let's pray for the families of those that had lost loved ones already.
Yeah, there's over
90 seconds.
50 confirmed dead, 45 to 50.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Last count I heard was 39, actually, but I know it. You know, since that time it has grown.
Yeah.
And you know, in that number. Nonetheless, let's keep praying and let's keep, you know, keeping our eyes peeled on the Lord Jesus Christ, for He is our ark of safety.
Amen.
God bless all.
And with that, we're going to close out our show. Joe, I want to thank you for being part of the show.
60 seconds.
I want to thank you for...
because that's unusual, me being a part of the show.
No, I mean, I want to thank you for... I should say for all the work you've done. I was out of the loop for a little bit today doing some things, and I just want to thank you for getting a lot of stuff done.
Of course.
And, look, you know...
Love the show, love the audience, love the callers. It was a great show tonight. We want to thank each and every one of you. God bless you all. Stay safe. We're going to hope some of our friends in New York get power back soon. We're going to pray for those people. And as Vernon said, pray for the ones who have lost loved ones here. We wish each and every one of you a safe day.
And remember this, we all have to draw closer to God in order to be able to repel the plans that the enemy has for all of us. And only as we draw closer to God will his heart be
10 seconds.
desire for each of you as well. You know what? Folks, go to Eagles Are Gathering. Finish reading that. God bless you.
Have a good night.